Hi, SMITE fans, and welcome back to the SMITE Challenger Circuit. We had some fun over with the European region to start our day out, but now, as we move into set number 3, we're going to bring it back over to the hometown in North America. We're going to have the Eldritch Hounds taking on the Athenian Sages. This is our third match of the day, and our first one over on the North American side of the SCC. My name is J-Mac. Joining me on the desk this time around is going to be Trelly Relly to bring us all the action out to here. And two big name teams out here as far as the NASCC is concerned. We got a lot of talent across the board in both these regions, but I think this matchup in particular is going to be a very interesting one between the Hounds and the Sages.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have to touch on it again because we've been touching on it a lot, but look how sick these logos
They're so
are, man.
nice.
I love the Sages logo and the Hounders. Both of these logos are really cool. But with that being said, obviously, yeah, we have a lot of talent on these teams. There's going to be some pretty sick matchups here. In the jungle specifically, I think Jengaru and Oath, both very commanding presences. They like their presence to be known all over, and yeah, it's going to be a good one for sure.
Well, taking a look at the schedule for today and for the rest of our week on the NASCC side, we'll start all out here with the Athenian Sages and the Eldritch Hounds. Then next up after that will be the Yomi Tanuki against the Shibalba Storm. And then to round out our SCC over on Saturday, we'll have the Kowloon Wardens and the Anansi Weavers. I almost tripped myself up saying that one there, but the Anansi Weavers and the Kowloon Wardens at the very end of the week, April 2nd, 11 a.m. That'll happen, of course, right before SPL on that day here. But bringing it back here today on Thursday, the 31st of March. The Athenian Sages, Eldritch Hounds, and I think you're right to bring up the battle here between the junglers here, talking specifically about Hounds. Oath has been a key player for this team. He's making some really big strides out here. And this team is kind of culmination of multiple big teams from last year, Sleekness being one of the big ones out here, now bringing a couple new members in here. This is a very strong team coming up into this event.
Yeah, Dude Man Bro and Oath, both standout performers in their own right in that tournament, and they look great, obviously, but now that they have this full squad here, they've been looking very solid as well, making their way into the SCC as a standout performance, and that this team looked, everyone had all eyes on them, obviously, so definitely a tough opponent to face if you are the Sages, but they had a great performance in their own right.
Yeah, I mean, over here for the Hounds as well, Remikami, Oath, Erupt Crimson, Quig, and Dude Man Bro to round out this squad here. And I think Quig is definitely one I always keep my eyes on with this squad. He's one of the big support players that kind of changed up the NASCC meta a little bit. The ESET support was kind of one of the things that he really brought to the forefront as far as the competitive scene is going. And a lot of teams, even up into the SPL, had shortly been following suit. But they are going up against the Athenian Sages, Jengaru, Briz, Privative, and Shinigami over on that side for those teams there. And the coach, we have to bring it back up, as Mifflin said, this is coached by Taco, former caster here, now turned coach over to this SCC squad. And she's always got something in her, some kind of trick Taco always has in her book, and I never know what to expect with the teams that she puts together.
I mean, yeah, when you've been around the scene this much, you got to have something in the back pocket at all times ready to trip you out, whether it be in picks and bans or just team comps in general, that sort of thing. It's always nice to have a seasoned veteran in the coaching slot, so it's definitely going to, help out this team. Again, was Samsara, now the Sages, so I may be referring to them in that past tense a lot, just because, that's the name we're used to, but they are the Sages now, and yeah, so Taco's going to have a little bit of just, oversight over this team.
Yeah, I think that duo lane is going to be a very interesting one to watch as well. I mean, Quig and Dude Man Bro on the side of the Hounds versus up here with the Sages, Privative, and Shinigami should be a really star-studded dual lane to keep our eyes on. You were hinting earlier about the jungle between Oath and Jengaru. I think across this map, this is going to be one of our best sets of the weekend in its entirety here. I mean, sure, it's only first week of play. Maybe that's a stretch to say this is the best one that we're going to see this week. But just based off what we've seen out of the past from these teams, should be an interesting one. Let's see what happens, though. Picks and bans for game number 1 between the Eldritch Hounds and the Athenian Sages starts up right now. A lot of similar bands we'll probably expect to see out here. We've been seeing a lot of the Auto Attack Warriors still going through, Osiris's, Bellona's, Amaterasu's were some of our bands, and also Serket Fenrir if you want to go over towards some of the Assassins, especially with some of the changes that have come to Serket.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are definitely going to be focusing on the dual lane pressure. They both like playing through their ADCs and their supports, making sure they try to get a lead and pushing that lead further and further. So I certainly would not expect to see a lot of bans in that regard, but definitely prioritizing those first picks, trying to get their ADCs on some solid pressure picks, but also nice safety as well.
Well, we'll start out on the bans at least with Serket and Agni on the side of the Eldritch Hounds. The Athenian Sages will ban away the Kabrakan and the Artio. So Artio makes her way into these bans, which is probably the most interesting one out here, because when we look at the pro play, Artio is like top ban priority no matter. If you are not first pick, you are probably banning this god. So it's always wild to see the changes that happen, even from region to region in the competitive level of scene here, but also just in general, from SPL to SCC down to SOC, and alongside those bands as well, Dodgy and Bastet. And at least a Thoth first pick out here by the Hounds.
Yeah, I mean, Erupt Crimson's going to love this Thoth pick right now. We just saw a great performance by the Thoth last game with Angry, and everyone, pretty much every mid laner right now, if you're playing at a competitive level, you have to have a Thoth in your arsenal. I mean, like we said, the build path, it just works so well. The range, damage, that sort of thing. Thoth just really shines right now as long as you can keep him safe and, you know, have that sort of artillery-style mage in your back pocket.
And also just taking a strong pick away from Briz, too. Erupt Crimson has been praised on this god by former caster Aggro. I remember sitting on the desk and we saw the Thoth get locked in. He just went, yeah, if this was like any other player, I'd just be like, whatever. But this is Erupt Crimson on this god. Sometimes it feels like he's almost cheating with how good he is on this one. But will be Thoth the Hounds,
impatient for your death?
On the opposite side here, now that we have seen a couple of the other top mages banned away. Tiamat has re-slotted herself now to being a top 3 mage.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, it was a weird step, right? Where last season Tiamat was valued very highly, and then we came into sort of flat pen meta, and Tiamat sort of fell through the ranks. But now, yeah, a little bit of a resurgence here. You know, Agni being banned away, that was, you know, one of the strongest, not to say counters, but gods that can sit in the lane with Thoth, match his range sort of well, and sort of, you know, match that poke as well. So now that Agni's taken away, Tiamat a safe bet, but you know, you do have the Medusa here and the Ganesh, so focusing that duo lane, high pressure Medusa early game, and Ganesh just, you know, solid peel as well as some good engage and disengage with the Dharmic Pillars.
So solid top 3 out of the Sages so far. The Hounds have gone with Thoth, Kleena, and Nemesis to be rounded out here. Now, if we were talking about maybe team with like SOT Scary D on here, we'd be saying, Nemesis solo, probably a possibility. But with how much we've been seeing Kleena solo just in our first couple of sets so far today, I can only imagine this Kleena is still going to be making her way over into that solo lane. Bands coming out, Kepri and Yamoja have made their way all the way here for the Sages. And then the Hounds are going to ban away a couple of solo laners here. And Camazotz and Achilles taken off the table. And ESET now? ESET mid, potentially, as we've been seeing a new change up on this god.
Well, Tiamat has been picked.
Oh, wait. Jungle.
I think it's ESET jungle. Yeah, I think that's what we are.
How did I already forget the Tiamat?
I mean, yeah, well, Tiamat, you know, when you see the ESET, you immediately, at least my head, goes to support.
Right.
And then I go, is Sino in this game? And I go, no. Okay, so it can't be jungle. But we already have the Tiamat, so I already went through that little head phase as you did as well. But now we have the Nox on the flip side. So a lot of, I'm not going to say off-meta picks, just different styles of picks. We have seen a bit of Nox support. Didn't have too much success. Specifically into the Atlas was what people were picking into. I believe Inbound was one that lifted out there. But here we have the ESET jungle. So a lot of magical damage. You have double mage and Ganesh, as well as an Odin cage, which traps a few members of the Hound. So the Odin cage can be pretty solid here. But with the resurgence of Phantom Shell, we have not seen too much Odin recently.
Now Odin, Yamoja, even as much as we have seen Kabrakan, he's even still kind of not making his way through here because, as you said, that Phantom Shell is becoming such a dominant item for so many of these supports. But yeah, I mean, ESET jungle seems to be popping up here now on the side of the Sages with the Tiamat and Ganesh already locked in. Look across the board here, though. I'm not looking at a single tanky member on the side of the Eldritch Hounds here. We'll jump right into game number 1 between the Eldritch Hounds and the Athenian Sages here in the North American side of the SCC. Week number 1, game number 1 here for the NA boys. It's J-Mac, it's Trelly. We'll have Doug once again being our lovely observer here. But it will be that Nox support, Quig once again, trying to be a little bit innovative in this role by taking that god over to there. And Jengaru on the ESET jungle, as you were calling momentarily ago.
Yeah, maybe, you know, we do have, as you called out, maybe Coach Taco just putting out some extra styles of picks. But I think Jengaru, you know, very versatile player in his own right, so definitely could whip out the ESET jungle, going for a flat pen start. So going to be a lot of damage out of this ESET jungle. Sometimes we see, you know, the Stone of Binding start if you want to be a little bit tankier, because these mage jungles can't really brawl with the assassins early pressure early, so they want to try to, you know, get as much defense as they can early and then sort of stack that way. But Jengaru gonna have a lot of CC on this pick especially, but on the flip side, this is a heavy CC comp on both sides of the spectrum. I mean, you're facing a Nox, so anytime you see that, you automatically have to assume there's gonna be a lot of CC.
You know, it's funny, I was kind of like, you know, joking around with Inbound after their set when they did actually use the Nox. I said, man, isn't it a shame how Nox has like one of the coolest abilities in the game? And initially I was talking about, you know, the dash that she has, being able to jump into an ally, traverse across the map. But he really thinks that ultimate is probably one of the better abilities just throughout the game and into her kit there. I mean, the damage reduction that's provided from that ability is so disruptive in these team fights. It's not even that you need to tap somebody with a big ult. You just throw it out there, and now they're just hitting you for less.
Yeah, for me, the prime Nox mid laner, I will say. MLC Stealth used to play this pick a fair bit, and he would always lead the fight with a huge Nox ult. And the reason being is just as you said, it lowers the damage potential of everyone you hit. You hit a 5-man Nox ult, they're essentially just losing that fight, or they have to back off. You can't really force a fight when you're Nox ulted like that. So it does bring a lot of sort of, different avenues to engage or disengage with that ultimate.
We do see a little bit of a slower start here over on this left-hand side. It's a beads pickup out of Privative, not going for a shell right out the gate here. Instead, it's a shell on the side of Quig, though, because their team is going to be locked down by some of those cages from Slash on that Odin solo lane. Actually, one thing I noticed earlier on, I didn't really attach onto it there. His blink is already down, and that's because he actually used it because he was running late to get to lane, had to use it to blink to the blue buff in time.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, once you use the blink early game, you kind of just have to sit under tower, obviously. No sort of engage or disengage on this Odin. But I will say Slash has his work cut out for him this game. It is so annoying if you've ever tried to play Odin into a Nox specifically. Anytime you jump in the air, you're getting silenced out before you land. Your shield can't explode. Your 3 is a charged up ability that the silence can cancel as well. So it's pretty much going to be blink, cage, and then you're just getting silenced and trying to disengage there. So definitely going to need to rush those beads down. If Slash doesn't get beads, I can't imagine this Odin's going to have too much fun this game.
Yeah, there's actually so many extra silences on this comp. I mean, you already have Quig, who's going to have a very low cooldown CC with that silence on that second ability. Then you got one over here on Remakami on this Cleo solo. We do have an invade attempt at this blue buff, but it doesn't go the way that the Hounds were maybe hoping for. Big silence at a Jangaru, a blink in by Slash, but a silence right after by Remakami buys him a little bit of time, but it's a spirit ball from Jangaru that strikes first blood, and now Oath is not even safe yet. But he does have those beads, he does have the shield, he's able to get out for now.
That is going to be this value of this E set. I mean, there's so much CC, so much lockdown. What started as what you would assume a super nice invade, you get a blue buff, get away, turns into a chase down where Isak can slow you, stun you, chase you down with the wing gusts, and then just finish that one off. So now, Slash does not get the kill, he gets the assist, but still, you're up in that lane. You have the pressure. Remakami does go back to base. 0-1 on the Kleena, only gets tier 2 Soul Eater there, so going to be hard to stick in lane with this Odin now.
Not going to have nearly the level of sustain that they had maybe hoped for here. Won't be able to get those minion stacks going just yet. Dude, man, and Quig over here loses out on that Harpy. A nice little turn of fate over the wall by Privative. Will steal that one away and get some extra XP on the board for themselves. To the duo lane, we kind of expected probably Nox Heimdall to not really get a whole lot of kill here necessarily. We kind of expected duo lane to maybe be a little bit more passive.
Yeah, Nox cooldowns are all pretty long, so you want to make sure you're using those on the wave to help with the wave clear. Obviously, Privative did go for the bead start, so also you're going to have to get, you have no real easy target to try to get these Nox silences on right now because you have the Ganesh who can just beads, and then you have Medusa beads. Soon you'll have that Medusa ult, so just kind of a slap fight in the duo lane right now, trying to get farm where you can. Right now it looks like they're going to be invading the flower, so that will be helping out their Obelisk if they do want to give that one up. But it looks like Oath is trying to get a flower of his own, but it's going to be stolen away.
Circle of protection used by Jangaru here. Flower still hasn't been picked up. That one gets left alone. Final Judgment just a little too shy there. Out of Crimson, Jangaru able to back away with the help of the beads. And Briz making sure to keep Erupt Crimson at bay in that mid lane. Couple of shots fired out here. Most important thing, though, is that relic down on Jangaru.
Yep, he set beads are down now. Oath as well. Looks like we're just going to see some damage trading here. Shinigami does not have the damage, or the mana rather, to try and fight this one, but Quig has the wraparound.
Quig's here, needs the puddle, needs the root, does get the root after to get the beads away from Shinigami. No ult, but does have the lacerate to find a way out. It's going to need a little bit of extra help from Privative. And once Priv does show some face, Quig and Two-Man not willing to chase any further in that jungle. Somehow, Shinigami able to make it out of there.
Yeah, it was a nice play by Quig to dash through, trying to catch that dash away from Medusa, but Shinigami holding it just in time to try to dash through the lane. Instead, says, hey, wait, there's a safe avenue in the jungle, dashes that way, and Priv's able to help out if they do continue the chase. But there is a beads down now. Medusa beads down, so Shinigami's going to have to play very carefully here. Quig probably going to be showing face in this lane for at least the next 2 minutes trying to get another pick.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we saw Quig hanging around this duo. Mid lane, though, still beads up for Briz. Privative still has beads here as well. Jangaru's down for 100 seconds. So there's still some prime options that Quig can go for with this Nox. But, I mean, I'm looking across the board right now, and really aside from, what, a root out of Crimson, And then the ultimate from Dude Man Bro, there's not a whole lot of CC and a whole lot of people who can burn these beads aside from Quig.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you're ulting Oath's ult when just trying to immune the slow there. But besides that, yeah, you're gonna have some. Quig's got his work cut out for him, but as long as he's consistent with those roots, as you said, just locking down, make sure you get a lot of damage there. It's a rough Crimson. He's gonna take some poke here, but as Thoth, you can dish out some poke of your own. So it looks like they are gonna be posturing towards these mid camps once again. Might have a little 3v3 battle here.
And Quig will rotate over for these mid Harpies, still dropping some of those offerings as of now. Still need one more for the Eldritch Hounds to be able to stack up their full obelisk here. And they should be able to get it as one of their back camps is spawning up on the right side of the map, so they'll be able to grab that one, and then I'll be the first one. Or they can just go up top like Quig is doing now and steal one of the flowers away and just go ahead and stack it for themselves. Don't even need the camp.
Yeah, there's a lot of wards on this left side of the map as Remakami does get in the cage here. Gonna have to juke, but there's no way. Once that cage went down, the Kalina has nowhere to go, and she is gonna fall down. Jengaru credit for the second kill of the game.
And Quig is going to be the one that we really have to keep our eyes on through this game, specifically because of how little of the CC that we talked about. You said he's really got his work cut out for him in order to try and burn some of these beads away. You look at the other side, though, and it's beads burning galore. I mean, if anybody gets caught by a Petrify, Privative so much as thinks about stepping up, Spirit Ball from long range, and there's an equal response on the beads, and there needs to be some equal response towards this purple off. Dharmic Pillars have been expended there. The knockback on Quig is good, but there's the power of one of my favorite abilities in the game that I talked about earlier, that Nox dash, jumping inside along with the Heimdall. I can get you both out.
Yep, you just go inside the Bifrost. You got a free teleport for both of you, and it doesn't go on your cooldown. You get the Heimdall's cooldown goes down, but Nox still gets the regular dash cooldown. So nice little escape there. Them just knowing, hey, we can invade this purple buff pretty much for free here as long as we have that Bifrost close by. Excellent invade there. We're getting to see the utility of this Nox pick a little bit more, but still. The beads are back up for Shinigami now, so no more real kill potential in that lane. They tried their best, but it looks like they are going for another wraparound here. The wards are going to catch this out, though. I do not think he's scared at all.
No, Shinigami will be nice and fine here over in this duel. Speaking on, using Nox to jump to somebody else and use their jump to get the extras. Are you the kind of person who, when your teammate is backing as Nox, you just dash into them so you don't have to worry about the back animation?
100%. You don't have to channel your back for 4 seconds. Absolutely. I always dash into people that are backing.
I feel it's the most efficient way to do it as Nox, because then you can just back whenever you want to. You don't accidentally get stopped out of your back. They can't stop your back. They just stop somebody else's here, like they're trying to stop. At least over to this mid-Harpy camp. But that, again, will go to the Athenian Sages here. Though, even despite the 2 kills that the Sages have put up, the gold lead is only about 1,000 so far up for the Sages. Most of it, as far as lead is concerned, would be concerned towards XP, which is also only teetering around that 1,000 XP mark, about 750, 800 back and forth there. So far, very slow-paced game out of these 2 teams.
Yeah, seems to just be that real solid jungle lead. Obviously, 2 kills on Jengaru right now. Oath hasn't gotten too active, hasn't done too much damage right now. More so just looking to farm up. Nemesis, one of the best Hydra's auto-attack cancel jungles in the game right now. So once Oath gets the Jotuns and the Hydra's Lament online, if he does opt to build that route, we'll have a pretty big power spike there, but probably not going to get too active before that.
Quig finds Briz with the root, but Briz just shakes it off and doesn't even really care, despite the fact there were 3 people directly behind him where that root had connected. Instead, Briz was able to clean up the Harpy camp alongside the support, and now it's going back to just a passive state of farm more than anything else. I mean, a level here and there, back and forth between the teams that I talked about. Gold is very minimal in its differences at this point. Jengaru had like a 2+ level lead over Oath, but that has slowly been closing back up here as Oath is rounding out level 9 versus level 10 now on Jengaru.
Yeah, I will say Slash has not backed in quite some time, so there will be a pretty large power spike coming from the solo laner whenever that Odin does decide to back. Yeah, 2,600 gold in hand, so this man has just been he's just clearing every wave. He doesn't have teleport, so he's like, hey, I'll put you more behind, push this wave under your tower, you're going to lose some gold there. I'm curious to see if he does pick up the Genji's guard just for the cooldown resets. A popular pick on Odin specifically. You get a lot of cages off, but it looks like a Glad Shield just going to be helping against the physical jungle and physical solo lane. Going to help with that cooldown as well, but a little bit more damage as well.
And we'll see how quickly Quig decides to upgrade this Phantom, and maybe that will just depend on how quickly Slash decides to join in some of these team fights. So far for these solo laners, it's been an island for them on that right side of the map. Not really jumping in on any of this mid or duo side action just yet, though some of the nature of that is, like you said, no teleport online for either of them here. So instead, it's just going to be an early farm game. Now that we're past this 10-minute threshold, the big objectives on the map have spawned themselves in, Pyro and Fire. But we haven't even had a look at the Gold Fury yet.
No, not a lot of action thus far. Pretty much just the jungle gank in solo, and then another solo fight. Obviously, Priv is wrapping around here looking for Dudeman, bro. The Bifrost is available. Gonna have to beat. A lot of damage, though.
Doesn't get very far, and the Petrify after has the damage to take down Dudeman, bro. Shinigami puts a third one up on the board for the side of the Athenian Sages. And now, with the carry down, we see our first group up on this left side of the map around the Gold Fury. 4 strong for the Sages, but Quig and Crimson are here, and Crimson has a very easy chance of being able to steal this one away. Needs to time that final judgment just perfectly, but a perfect leash out of the Athenian Sages will take that one out, and the Sages will secure the Gold Fury.
I'm actually really surprised that they did opt to leash that. Obviously, final judgment, a really solid confirm, but you had the circle of protection there as well, so it was pretty much just a 50-50. They said, hey, let's just drop this, not 50-50, and then pick it back up. Oath is going to look for some aggression here, but Shinigami again holds the dash perfectly and finds the real avenue to escape.
A nice ohm there by Privative, buys enough time for Shinigami to find that route out, and even burns the beads off of Oath, because Oath was expecting Shinigami to go back to your tower. That's you know, the more optimal idea. Just, hey, go back to your tower. They don't want to dive you at that point. Instead, like you say, a perfect cutout path here for Shinigami goes back towards the Harpy camp instead. And so it's a Fury, one set of beads down on the side of the Sages, but I call that a win for them.
No, it's definitely a win for them. Yeah, the Sages are climbing ahead now. It was a slow-paced game, but one pick was all it took to pull that Gold Fury down. Dudeman, bro, obviously not able to help out at all because he was dead there, so then the Gold Fury gets pulled. Beautiful leash to make sure that final judgment does not steal, even though the circle protection was there. And then they get themselves the Fury and a little bit of extra action. Obviously, Shinigami did have to beads there, so that is a little bit of an avenue back into the Hounds. But as you said, Oath beads as well. So I mean, you know, it depends on how active you really want to get with an ohm near you. You can't really use any of your abilities without beads there, so it's gonna be rough.
Next, did use the beads on that ultimate like you were calling for earlier. You know, we were mentioning how Quig is really the main CC applicator for this team here. Obviously, Dudeman Bro with an ultimate, but sometimes you do just want to beads that slow. You just don't want to be moving slower than everybody else for no other reason than just because it is out there. So 85 seconds on both of those beads now for the two who used it in that last engagement here. But the Athenian Sages have control of this game, about 2,500 gold up over the Hounds. Rimakami trying to find a way in the wall, does manage to find a small path in, throws out the whale right afterward to get some damage through. The Gold Fury that went the way of the Sages thought maybe they were going to go for a Pyromancer pull. But instead, they'll just back away and continue to go back to their farm towards mid.
Yeah, Ramakami did have to heal up a little bit there, but with the Soul Eater, I think it's going to be all right. You pretty much just ult a wave and heal to full at this point with this clean build, so don't think it's going to be too much of a problem here, but there is a cage, and Jangaru is rotating over. Can't get to that wall through the cage here.
This is the silence. Needs the Spirit Ball to hold them down. No way that Rimakami can get in the wall now. Who's going to get the final tick of damage? It's going to be Jangaru taking him out with that circle protection, but that's 2 ults expended to take down Rimakami. Quig on the way, Oath right behind, but they're level 10 and 11 versus a level 15 Odin.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think anyone's going to be able to kill Slash right now. It's just a solid counter matchup. I mean, not counter matchup, but counter pick, I would say, to make sure you're caging this Kleena off from the walls, and then you poke her out. She can't heal while in the cage, and then she can't go into the wall when she's too low, obviously. So 3 ganks and 3 kills for Jangaru against Rimakami. This Kleena has not been able to be as slippery as she usually is because of this Odin pick specifically.
Dudeman Bro is forced to sit back, passively farm. Dharmic Pillars dropped by Priv. Pyromancer not eating a whole lot of damage. Quig will go in with the ultimate, body blocked out, and the Athenian Sages will take another objective. Slash will have to jump away. No ultimate back up for the Odin just yet. But they don't need it here. Athenian Sages, they get another objective. They don't have to expend any of their relics to do so, and Priv is always happy to throw out that Dharmic Pillars. Another objective goes the way of the Sages.
I will say the mid laners, we have not seen much action from them at all. A Ripped Crimson opting to go for the tried and true double flat pen build. No Sands of Time though, just the eye of the jungle, trying to be a little bit tankier late game, it would seem. And on the flip side, Briz going for the newfound sort of Helmet Voidstone double defense build, which also gives you a fair amount of power, but you come online a little bit later, so you're a little bit safer in lane. You get a little bit of protection from both sides, but you also get a fair bit of power as well. Just a little bit different styles of builds, obviously. Thought you always want to be more of a glass cannon. You're always sitting so far back in these team fights, but Tiamat does have to sort of get in on this quadrupedal form where she's on all fours. She gets, you know, all of her abilities are a little bit closer in that form.
Even Jangaru going for a little bit of a tankier route here with a Void Stone of their own, although they're going for a different style of build beyond there. Flat Pen in the way of the Divine Ruin, but Chronos Pendant seems to be kind of sneaking its way back into a few of these builds here, Trelly.
Yeah, especially in the jungle when you can't really go Sands of Time and you want some cooldown. I've seen a little bit of Soul Gem coming back into favor, which I personally think is, you know, a little bit slept on right now. I think Soul Gem still has a lot of value. It's just with right now, you need either Charon's Coin or Obsidian Shard because you want that 20% pen, and then you obviously need Hold That Thought. It looks like we're going to have some aggression here. Remkami rotates over.
Jangaru beats out, but now it's Quig under fire. Turns around to throw the ultimate, but slams it into a wall instead. The beads burned so far just by the jungler on the side of the Athenian Sages, and all of that for not a whole lot, really. I mean, Fury just now respawned, maybe. It was just the Sages hoping they could find a pick to set up for the objective.
Yeah, Quig's ult is down, so a decent steal tool or a decent damage reduction tool, whichever way you want to look at it. But the Athenian Sages are feeling confident to pull this.
Remkami throws out one Veil and does some good damage. That'll back the Sages away from the objective, at least for the time being. But now with all 5 on the Sages here and all 5 now rounding themselves out for the Hounds, our first real big team fight goes through. Jangaru loses on half their health, Circle of Protection drops through. Oath on the run, gets out for only a moment. It's Shinigami and the Dharmic Pillars out of his supporter, able to take them down. Quig now running away from the Cyclone, dropped out by Briz. Golden Fury, or Oni Fury I should say, started up there for a moment on the escape. But it's the Sages with the manpower.
The Eldritch Hounds really seem like they wanted to try to force that. Oath had some solid damage there, but just great Dharmic Pillars to cut off the escape. The Nemesis just could not get out, and it still looks like the Gold Fury's on the...
No, Quig gets picked up by Briv, thrown right into Slash's hands. A jump right afterward is going to take him down. Bird Bomb out of Slash, finds one kill, immediately throwing a second one out with that Gungnir's Might, and Remkami on the run from this Tiamat. Briz is closing in the gap, needs one more hit, but the dash from Remkami manages to get them out. But the Athenian Sages can now perfectly set themselves up to take this Oni Fury.
I gotta say, I've been there, Briz. When you think the dash back has enough damage to finish off, but unfortunately, right then the clean a dash comes up, so you don't even hit it, don't get the kill. I think if he did turn around 180 and dash towards, there was a chance he could clip him with the 2. Either way, I think you're pretty happy with the 3 picks into the Gold Fury. The Athenian Sages are certainly running away with this one, at least right now. They have 4, not too massive. Still only 4,500 gold lead, 4,000 XP lead. This is not incredibly out of hand, but it's definitely starting to get to that point where the Athenian Sages have all the pressure in the world. Even that fight that looked like the Eldritch Hounds were, you know, pretty confident in engaging, just turned sour.
So far with this 4K lead, what more the Athenian Sages try and go to here? Pyromancer still down for about another minute, so we won't see that objective go down anytime soon. Fire Giant is up, but with everybody alive on the side of the Hounds, I don't think the Athenian Sages want a 50-50 around a Fire Giant. 50-50 a Gold Fury or a Pyromancer? Yeah, that's one question. 50-50 a Fire Giant right now, maybe not the best call.
Yeah, there's just so many steal tools on the map right now. I mean, all of these ultimates, even, you know, you obviously have the Circle Protection, and that's where your eye wants to go to first. But Final Judgment, you have the long-range Nox ult that you have to body block or else it just explodes, and then you have, you know, tick damage that can also be a problem. Kleena could be hiding in the walls at any moment. There's just a lot of time, but Quig trapped here again. Does have the Phantom Shell, but it's not going to be enough.
That shell's not going to get you very far. Jump in, a silence, and a petrify by Shinigami will take down the support of the Eldritch Hounds. Oath dashes in, and then dashes out right into a stun by the mid laner. Oath gets knocked up, Circle of Protection dropped down, and that takes another one out. Final Judgment by Crimson doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Remkami on the run as the Athenian Sages continue their march down the mid lane. Tier 1 tower is a foregone conclusion, but keep eyes on Dude Man Bro rotating in. Slash needs to be careful because he's going to get sent right to Niflheim, but the rest of the team has rallied back together. You're not taking out our solo yet. Instead, it's Dude Man Bro down.
Slash is just way too tanky. Even getting sent through the realms just comes out pretty much scot-free. I mean, he has about to be 3 physical defense items, so this Odin is an incredible force to try to bring down right now. It looks like the Pyromancer is going to be looked at despite it being a 3v5. The health bars are pretty low for the Athenian Sages, so they are just going to back up here and heal up despite an overwhelming fight that they just won. They still, as we've said, do not feel confident pulling that Fire Giant. There's just so many long-range steel tools on the Eldritch Hounds.
do see on some of these backs the new power spikes popping in. Obsidian Shard for Briz here on this Tiamat. Jade Emperor's Crown on the side of Jangara here. No item that we've mostly seen kind of exclusively reserved for some of these more solo lane Guardian-esque style plays, occasionally popping in on supports. But we're seeing it here with the jungler now.
Yeah, it seems like Jangara is just trying to push this lead. Obviously, right now, you have a lot of these sort of hybrid items on the East set, and then you have Chronos Pendant. So you're going to be doing a fair bit of tank stats, but also a fair bit of damage. Obviously, you have the shielding from your silence on your third ability as well. So just an annoying pick and an annoying build, I would say. Trying to kill this E set right now, and then you just drop a circle of protection. The Nemesis can get nowhere near you right now. I mean, Oath is never going to try to take this 1v1 fight in the jungle, right? You just have to try to bait out all of her CC, and then you have so many different ways to cancel the shield as well. It's just, you never want to take that fight.
And one of the things I've noticed here is that Quig did not, Quig already had the shell earlier on. He has that upgraded, but also going towards a bracer for second item. Already upgraded to the tier 2, so we'll wait to see if that ends up becoming a bracer brilliance later on for that big extra spike of damage. But talking about damage, Athenian Sages have quite a bit of it. They'll start up the Fire Giant to pull anybody forward that they can. It's only Quig who stepped in. Remikami throws out a silence through the wall, and Quig manages to find a track right back out. Quig will eat up the ultimate from Slash, but the cage is not going to be worried about by anybody on the backside here. Instead, it's now Slash on the retreat, and the rest of the Sages following in suit as they're the ones who took the brunt of the damage in this fight.
Yeah, it seems like Remikami was doing so much poke while Slash was diving the backline there. So both solo laners trying to make their mark on this team fight, but the Kleena was able to poke out like crazy, as well as Erupt Crimson putting out some decent amount of damage from a range. That is the benefit of this Thoth pick, as I've been harping on. You can just stay super far away, still pressure with the Fire Giant steal, and also poke out anyone that tries to come at you. So very difficult to push into this Thoth right now. Even if you do want to pull this Fire Giant and bait them in, Erupt Crimson does not have to get that close to the objective to make his presence known.
Yeah, if anything, we can praise maybe the positioning of this mid laner here. Erupt Crimson, even though nobody else on the team has been able to get any kills or assists either here, so far Crimson the only one undying on the team. And that always comes with the benefit of having that super long range dash, especially when you have that glyph wall thrown down. Crimson has gone unscathed this game. Player damage leading up here for the solo laners, and right behind them is Crimson on this Thoth. So he's been able, even despite not really being too far and too deep into the action, he's been able to find a lot of damage throughout them.
Yeah, like, just because Athenian Sages, they do have the pressure right now, so they have to push in whenever they want to find any sort of pick. The Fire Giant, once again, started up, but the tanks of the Eldritch Hounds are front and center. They are watching this go down.
Slash off to the side. Briz not even inside the pit. They'll pull themselves away as soon as Quig walks up. Big stun onto the support. The cage drops down. No way to get out. A circle of protection will seal the tomb of Quig. It's not enough damage, though, to take out the support. He's just tanky enough. Instead, it's Remikami who gets stopped down. Spear Ball, it will manage to connect, but it's right through the Aegis. Instead, Briz needs to land the final shot to take them down. Give it to a double over to the mid laner as he gets the knock up onto Quig and strikes it big for the Sages.
Oh yeah, Tiamat is doing so much damage right now, but Dude Man Bro and Oath have some damage of their own. They are sending it back. All carries of the Eldritch Hounds are alive, and they seem to be pushing into the Athenian Sages here. They feel confident enough to say, hey, you can't pull this Fire Giant while we're around. We're not going to try to fight you, but we're at least going to let you know that we are here and you can't pull this. It looks like they're going to go over for this red buff. They might even try to pull the Gold Fury if they have the time, but no way they can put that much pressure on the other side of the map when Fire Giant is still alive.
Quig does still have one of those bracer pools down at the moment. Instead, though, it's the Hounds who are going to pull up the Primal Fury, Oath and Crimson. Should have the damage to take this one down, but while those two are over there dealing with the Gold Fury, nobody is over here on the side for this Fire Giant. As soon as those Lizards walk into lane and this Fury goes down, the Sages are going to know that the Hounds are nowhere to be seen. So Fire Giant should go swimmingly over here to the Sages. Circle of Protection drop down, and that objective will go nice and cleanly over to the side of the Sages.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Eldritch Hounds knew exactly what they were doing there. As I mentioned, right when they put 2 people on the Gold Fury when you only have 3 alive, I think they knew that, hey, this Fire Giant's probably going down, and we just have to get the gold where we can because we are obviously a little bit behind right now, so let's just try to get a small win. And, you know, we'll trade that out. Now, Dude Man Bro is looking for some farm on the left side of the map, maybe trying to match tier 2s. Obviously, though, called out that the Athenian Sages are backing up, so probably not want to sticking around there for too long. But I think getting the Gold Fury is at least a small win as compared to trying to fight for that Fire Giant 2-man down. So I think it was a smart call just to say, hey, we're going to get the farm where we can.
It keeps that gold from spiraling any further than it already has. About 6,000 up on the side of the Athenian Sages, level 20s. almost across the board here, aside from supports and Rimikami to throw out here. And as I say, that Rimikami does tick over to level 20, so any of that real XP difference does just come now into the support role there. 3 levels, though, still separating Privative and Quig at this point. Rimikami doing everything they can to try and get as much farm online as possible, but Slash with triple physical defense right now feels like it's almost impossible for Dude Man to ever deal with this Odin.
Yeah, Slash is pretty unkillable at the moment, but on the flip side, isn't dealing too much damage. You're not seeing Slash like solo anyone in the backline. You're more seeing solo Slash just get in the backline, try to cage, usually pick up Quig, and then if the Phantom Shell is down, just reset and try to do it again. And right now, it's working out. Anytime you do pick at 1 or 2 members, you have the numbers in a fight, and you can just look for pressure elsewhere. So right now, Slash pretty much doing his job, and Priv, on the other hand, is just providing so much peel. I mean, no one has died yet in the Athenian Sages, and there's a reason, because this Ganesha has been oming everyone that gets close, and then dropping the Dharmic Pillars just to help control space, and it's just so difficult to try to kill anyone right now.
Tier 2 tower now under fire by the Athenian Sages. Silence Puddle drops up against Briz. But not a big commitment so far out of the Sages. Minions haven't pushed their way in. Rimikami throws out the whale, but instead it's slashed in the backline with the cage. Wall gets broken down, so no shell needed just yet. And Tier 2 tower has not been knocked over, at least not yet. Nobody on the Sages is going to stick around and make sure that it does. Dharmic Pillars instead, expanded by Priv. A run in by the Bull immediately gets stopped in its tracks. Tier 2 tower goes down, but it's a retreat from the Athenian Sages. They got the prize, the Tier 2 tower, and now they can back off.
I mean, with the lead the Athenian Sages have, you would think that that tower would have went down a lot smoother, and then maybe even the mid-tier 2, maybe even a Phoenix Siege if they got a pick. But again, it's just a testament to how much damage Erupt Crimson and Dude Man Bro are able to do while you're pushing into them. It's just super difficult to walk up here. Rimikami taking a little bit of poking, gonna have to back up. But as long as Erupt Crimson has Hieroglyphic Assault just pounding into you, it's very difficult to really get these objectives.
Oh. Walking around the backside, won't find anything in the fight just yet. Tier 2 tower in mid goes down a little bit smoother here for the Athenian Sages. And now, with no towers left on the map and no real way to push into these Phoenixes just yet with how far back these minions are, the Athenian Sages will retreat, grab the Pyromancer as their final constellation prize. Only 40 seconds left on this Fire Giant buff, and they'll make sure to use that to strip away as much of the jungle as they can.
Yeah, these builds are looking pretty solid right about now. Everyone finishing up, maybe got an item or two. Yeah, Priv just ticked over and bought a late Sovereignty, which is going to help out a fair bit. But Briz does have the alternate timeline, so even if they finally do get a kill on this Tiamat, which they have not been able to do on anyone on the Athenian Sages, they're going to have a little bit of a revive there. So that's going to be super annoying to deal with, obviously. I haven't even seen Briz tick under like 50% HP in quite some time. So again, the Eldritch Hounds definitely have their work cut out for them here, but Fire Giant will be spawning shortly, and that will be the next big team fight we will probably see, unless we see a grouping around this Primal Fury as well. They were pulled, you know, pretty similar times, but the Primal Fury should be up first.
Yeah, Primal Fury will come back up just before, but I mean, we're approaching 30 minutes now. This is going to be Enhanced Fire Giant. By the time we really see any action sprawling around that one, it'll be at like a 10-second window when fire goes down. So unless somehow the Sages can like full wipe the Hounds and take a Fire Giant within like 10 seconds of spawn, this Enhanced Fire Giant could be the final nail in the coffin that the Sages need. 10,000 gold approaching upwards for their lead so far. A lot of that reflected into the support role, a full item up for Privative, a full item up in the jungle for Njingaru as well. And with that Obsidian Shard gives him that extra little bit of pen that ESET needs.
Look at the Athenian Sages grouping here. It looks like they're trying to set up an ambush on whoever might walk up to check this Fire Giant, but now it looks like everyone is going to be grouped up as 5. So they're not going to be sneaking any kills here. It looks like the Eldritch Hounds are going to have to back up, and Quig might even get caught out here. It looks like Slash does not want to expend the blink just for a low Nox support.
Nah, and the Nox, though far away from the team, would be an ideal pick to still grab here, but spending blink for just that, maybe not the most worthwhile thing, especially with the team still so far back behind him. Fire Giant is back. We've crossed 30 minutes, which means that we now have the Enhanced Fire Giant on the map. Left side minions pushed very far up, and with the help of those Tiamat Lizards, should be able to put a little bit of threat on this left side Phoenix, though not the same level of threat that you would expect from something like Oni minions or Fire minions even potentially pushing up.
Yeah, Quig does have the Lonos mask now, so we'll be able to frontline pretty consistently. You're going to be taking a fair bit of damage, but also the engage has begun. It looks like Slash has a big cage in the backline.
The shell has already been expended through. 3 were able to find their way out of the cage, and the Athenian Sages will take that trade out there. They get both relics off of Quig here. They also make sure to keep them pushed back. Quig steps a little too far forward. Shinigami finds the first kill of the fight. Dude Man Bro already down to half. The sprint route has already been activated. Dude Man Bro fighting for his life in the backline. Remikami inside the wall though is dealing a whole lot of damage right back in. Oath goes into the fight and Briz puts him down. Remikami thrown up and knocked down by Jenkaru. Now only 2 left standing for the Hounds.
Yeah, I mean, the Eldritch Hounds, again, in the driver's seat, thinking they can start that engage because the Odin cage was down, but they just couldn't. I mean, again, Briz did get aggressed upon, pretty weak, but still didn't even pop the alternate timeline there, so they didn't even have enough damage to get him to that point, so they just do not have the damage to try to run at the Athenian Sages, even if, again, that Odin cage is down. I think that was the go button there. They said, hey, the Blink cage is down. Maybe, just maybe, we can get a pick here. We can get to that back line, but it just was not enough, especially with how easily Quig got deleted at the beginning of that fight. It was just, you know, he just did not have enough to help them out. It's without the peel, your team is going to get run over, clearly. So now we're looking at an enhanced Fire Giant running down the right side of the map.
Who needs minions at this point with how much of those backdoor protections have been removed? The Athenian Sages can claim the first bird of the game. Right side Phoenix is down, and Slash will go in aggressively. Up against 2, make that 3 by himself, but Slash could be the first casualty of war on the Sages. The Erupt Crimson does not find that ultimate. Dude Man Bro instead is the one who goes down. Quig almost going down to the Dharmic Pillars there. Slash is still sticking around this fight. Jenkaru pops the Aegis to make sure that he does not fall down up against this Thoth. And the Sages pick up 2 Phoenixes and a kill on this siege.
Yeah, Slash dove a little bit too hard there, but still not even so hard that he falls. He still has not died. Still no deaths for the Sages on this round. They're going to pick up the Fury here. Right Phoenix and mid Phoenix down. And they're just going to back up. They have plenty of time on this enhanced Fire Giant. They might as well just back, get some items, and then continue the siege on the left side of the map and possibly go for the end here. It is that late into the game where, I mean, even 4v5, it would be pretty easy to kill a Titan at this point.
So far, the Hounds have not been able to find a whole lot of success really anywhere through here. I was going to say in maybe team fights, or it's really just been across the board. I mean, no kills up for the Order side team just yet. 16 now for the Athenian Sages, and that was the lowest that we've seen anybody get on the side of the Athenian Sages. Slash down to like 5% health, if even that. Only saving grace was the fact that he had that Raven shout up so he could put that shield around his waist and hop himself on out of here. But now the Sages will once again group up as the left side Phoenix, the only structure left standing on the side of the Hounds.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can find a pick here if someone walks up this purple buff. It looks like they're going to see a very tanky Odin pretty soon, and I don't think that's the target that they were hoping for.
Oh, they almost got him last time. Maybe they can desperately get something here. Silence is good, the root is good, but the rest of the Sages have rallied back around Slash, and the Odin dropped down to 50% health against the onslaught of 3 of the Hounds. Slash will live on, and 2 will find their way back. Dude Man Bro barely making their way back to the base with that back there. But now the Sages, with minions pouring up the right side of the map, on their way down the mid lane. The Sages can push right into this left side Phoenix. Remikami eating a lot of damage. Dharmic Pillars are making sure to hold everybody else in place. Slash will jump in, drop the cage in the middle of everybody. Dude Man Bro now in the midst of the ultimate from this E7, but not going to find a whole lot of damage just yet.
Sort of trading back and forth. Remember, the enhanced Fire Giant regen is going to come into play here as this Phoenix finally starts to get looked at.
Mikami does get some good damage with that ultimate, but not going to find a whole lot out there. Instead, it's Quig who's on the low end of it, and Crimson's got to back out of this fight to try and deal with the minions, but he's left Dude Man Bro alone. Remikami will only barely maybe make it back to this fountain here, and the Athenian Sages in game number 1 will blank the Eldritch Hounds with a 17-0 35-minute win.
I mean, Jenkaru looked super solid on the E-set jungle, but I think the whole team just looked so crisp there. Priv, the peel was on point, and not to mention the engage, the Dharmic Pillars, and then Slash was just unkillable. And I say that literally because he took every sort of damage you can imagine while tanking the Phoenix, and then still still was able to get out there, 0 kills. I mean, unfortunate play, but the Hounds just looked really solid.
Yeah, I mean, great play here out of the Hounds, but even better play out of the Sages. They're able to take game number 1 here in this best-of-3 set here, week number 1 for the NASCC. We'll come back right after our break to get you guys set up for game number 2. Hello and welcome back to the North American SCC. The Athenian Sages blanked the Eldritch Hounds in game number 1 of our 3rd set of the day, and our first set for the North American side here. And with the Sages up now 1-0, the Eldritch Hounds are going to have to make some adjustments as we get ready to go into game number 2. And one of the things that we were kind of talking about off screen here, Trelly, as we get into the breakdown here, is that there was no peel for anybody on the side of the Hounds besides a Nox. And if Nox is your only form of peel, it's going to be hard to peel away some of these backliners like Slash was just diving in that back every single time.
Yeah, especially with not a lot of CDR on the knock specifically. If you're not hitting that initial combo, you pretty much just have to back off your engage and then, try again in 14, 15 seconds or so. So, yeah, the team comp itself just seemed to crumble, especially once you get behind. Again, it's one of those comps where, hey, if they got ahead and Nox was just locking down everyone, Quig would have looked nuts. But because it wasn't, it just seemed like they could never really get their comp rolling.
Yeah, one of those jam it down the first 10 minutes that you can and hope and pray to the gods that you do get ahead, but it was not the case here on the side of the Eldritch Hounds. They were never able to find that lead. Because of that, the Athenian Sages were able to run away with this first game. As I said, a complete blank out here in 35 minutes, not a single kill was able to go to the side of the Hounds. Maybe they can try and remedy that here in game number 2, but we're really hyping up Slash in that last game with what he was able to do, and that's just because, as we said, there was nobody to peel these backliners, so Slash was just walking at them pretty much the entirety of the game, and the only way that they could get away was he pop cage, pop our shell, okay, let's walk away, and that was about the most that they could do.
Yeah, I mean, in this highlight reel, you're going to see a little bit of everyone, and the reason being is because pretty much everyone played, I mean, I wouldn't say perfectly, but pretty darn close to perfectly. I mean, none of them died, so at that point, what more could you ask for, right? Everyone seemed to be just, on point, peeling for each other, doing damage. Again, Priv really stand out for me, making sure that no one was able to die on this team. This Ganesha was super impactful. Look at the lockdown, look at the Dharmic Pillars, look at the Ohms, as we touched on time and time again. It just really seemed like they were able to get so much off.
Yeah, it was a very rough one here for the Hounds. Maybe a little bit of adjustments as they get ready for game number 2. Maybe change up some of their draft. Get a little bit more of that frontline pressure. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of these assassin solos make their way in. We've been seeing the success of what Klina is able to do out here. But the fact that there was just no true frontline, there was no real one person to get in there and to be the real disrupt. I mean, Remikami was doing everything that they could to disrupt during that one. They were really just jumping in there. They were standing inside those walls, getting those silences out constantly. But again, it just comes down to a lack of peel. Good damage out of Crimson, though, this game. He was able to find some really solid numbers on this Thoth, but wasn't able to find that ceiling deal.
Yeah, again, I think the cleanup pick, they found a really solid way to shut that down again with the Odin cage, shutting down the Soul Eater heal, making sure she can't escape into the walls. It just seemed like Remikami really couldn't, do everything that we've seen a normal Klina do, where you can just be super disruptive, you can, assault people from across the map with your ult, and it's just a really disruptive, annoying pick, and they found a way to really, keep her on a tight leash and say, hey, this Klina's not going to be able to run away with this game because right now you're down 0-3, and we've ganked you 3 times. Like, it all worked in success.
Yeah, when it's coming down here to game number 2, though, Trelly, before we jump to the picks and bans for this one, what are some of the changes, at least? Obviously, we're talking about, front line needs to be drafted maybe a little bit more, maybe some more CC, but when you're looking over at the Sages composition, are there some things that you need to take away for the Hounds?
Yeah, I would say right now the Odin pick isn't going to be like a staple of their comp. I think it was more so a counter pick because it did have a lot of success. I will say it didn't seem like anyone could shut down the ESET jungle, and that may be because of just like we talked about. They don't have that much lockdown. So I would say either axe the Nox and pick up more CC, or instead of the Nemesis, something with more CC. Again, you have to find more CC elsewhere because it just didn't seem like they had. So if they did have some form of lockdown, could the ESET have not run free as much as she did? Definitely possible. I think ESET, one of those characters, no sort of CC immunity there, so you want to try to sit on her as much as possible. So pick some more frontline, some more lockdown CC. I think there'll be a much better game 2 if that does happen.
Yeah, very CC light, but not as far as light in the damage numbers out there. I mean, like I said, Crimson was able to put out some very consistently high damage throughout all of that. That does come down to the benefit of being that long-range artillery mage on that Thoth here. So some good place across the board here to at least establish some pressure out here, but when it does come down to it, these team fights, we're just going to the Athenian Sages every single time. They almost got Slash once. Almost tried to get him a second time. Didn't quite work out there. Let's see what happens, though, for Picks and Bans game number 2 between the Sages and the Hounds. We jump right in. And I think talking about maybe banning the ESET away if you're worried about what Jangari was able to do there. Was the Odin really that much of a problem, or was it the things that was drafted around that Odin? We'll see what kind of changes the Hounds make here in the Picks and Bans.
Yeah, I would like to see a focus more so on just, the meta junglers, making sure that they can't get any sort of... Again, I think it was just a whole draft diff, right? So if you just go back and say, hey, we're not going to draft around that and everything like that. It looks like they are going to take the ESET away, so I'm just going to eat my own words. But it's either that. It was either, hey, we need more CC, or we can't deal with the ESET. It was one of the two, and clearly they're saying, you know what, that ESET brought so much CC, a fair bit of damage, the lockdown, the circle of protection, it was just too much, so we're not going to deal with that ESET. We don't want to, so just getting it away, I would say smart.
And it's just become such a versatile god as well. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of the jungle set when it came to Sino specifically, and then we saw a lot of East set support really make her way through, and then even at SPL level play, we've been seeing her go mid. So now being able to effectively take away a hard flex pick in the C set, maybe a strong call here out of the Hounds. They'll also take away Cirquette and Bastet. Meanwhile, opposite side, Erlong, Shen, Kabrakan, and Ardio all taken away now by the Sages, and that leaves Medusa up as a first pick, which has been one of the most common first picks we've seen so far this weekend.
Yeah, getting Shimigami back on that Medusa, I see no problem with that. Just making sure, you know, that he looked great on the pick, obviously. Crazy early. I feel like I have to harp on how good Medusa is all the time. You guys got to know by now. Her early game's insane. Her late game's pretty solid as well. She just has so much burst damage. You pretty much get chunked every time you step up to clear the way. Medusa has a great matchup. There's a reason that she is being prioritized so highly. On the flip side, though, we are seeing this Daji, a very different style of pick from the Nemesis. Obviously, a lot more CC,
Go
which
forth,
we've
my
been harping on
children,
a fair
and
bit on the
take over
desk here.
this
So
land.
the Powwow gonna be a big game changer from last game.
And then changing up a little bit more here, Odin now on the side of the Eldritch Hounds as they lock that in for their second pick alongside that Daji. Meanwhile, though, the Sages are going to go for something still right up their alley here, picking up a Tiamat and now a Khepri on the side here. So Privy going to move away from the Ganesh. That brought him to success in game number 1 and instead move now towards this Khepri. He's going to have similar levels of lockdown, similar levels of CC out there, and that revive going to be so essential here. One more time, though, Crimson does get to take this Thoth into the mid lane. And now as we jump into the bans here, we've got a good look at some of the front line, at least on the side of the Sages. If you're the Hounds here, I mean, we have the cleanup be a ban away. Do you just keep focusing out some of that solo pressure?
I mean, yeah, with right now, Slash obviously was able to run away with a pretty fair bit of that lane, so trying to get a favorable matchup for your solo. Murakami obviously wants to have a little bit more freedom in that lane, I would say. So trying to ban those away, Kleena and Osiris, smart play, just anything that can rival Odin's clear and, you know, pressure and things like that. Just trying to take those away is a smart pick for sure. I do love to see Priv on this Khepri, though, this sort of peel style character that also has some decent early clear as well. They'll abduct, great peel tool aura, you know, engage if you need it to be. So I'm loving the duo lane of the Sages once again, just trying to get that duo lane, the early pressure, and just making sure they're, you know, at least staying even or ahead. It's always going to be a solid go around here, but the Vakis, which we've been talking about. We were talking about, where did Vakis go? We found him.
Hey, we found him. It only took, 7 picks into our second game of set number 3 to finally see him pop out here. And that only came off the back of the fact that Yamoja, Khepri, and Ganesh were all taken away at this point here. So wild to see just how dominant Bacchus was during all of the SPL and SEC qualifiers. SPL saw a little bit of him here, but now makes his way in. However, opposite side of the board, Sun Wukong, Amaterasu. Well, Ama usually has been going over into that solo lane. Sun Wukong usually also goes into that solo lane. Is this gonna... which of these two do we imagine goes jungle here, Trelly?
It could be either. I'm hoping for the Wukong jungle. I think Wukong jungle is just more fun, per se. You get the die potential of just blinking onto a Thoth, and then the Thoth dashes, then you go up into the Somersault Cloud. You can chase it very easily. Not to say you can't do that with Amatu. Obviously, both of them can go either way at this point. I would say they both have very different styles of solo lane specifically, but in the jungle, you pretty much just want to go, hey, auto attack damage on Ama, so burst and maybe a Soul Eater on Wukong. So whichever one they opt to go for, it's going to make Erupt Crimson's life pretty difficult, because the Thoth arguably does not like getting dove. I wouldn't say there's even an argue for it. Thoth does not like to be dove here. Not too much peel for the Bacchus. Again, if the Bacchus does get ahead, then maybe there'll be some aggression there. But for my money, I'm gonna say with the Ama. I'm gonna say Ama jungle. I'm going with the off meta pick, per se.
Ama jungle, the call here for Trelly. We'll see if it is the Ama or if it's the Sun Wukong, or maybe they throw us for a loop entirely and throw Khepri in the jungle for some odd reason, and now we have a weird support out there. Look, man, I'm just missing the days of Sun Wukong support. Those were some of my favorite days in SMITE.
Oh, yeah.
Back when Masters Will had the knock up on and everything like that. It was fun times back then. But the dual lane on the side of the Hound, not just that Bacchus, but now a Cerninos, who's made his way through here. And it's so crazy to see that, Cernos went this low on the priority chart here when we saw 2 support bans out of the Sages, and then it's one of the top pick hunters right now, at least according to some of our pros and some of the tier lists that are out there, makes it all the way to a 10th pick.
Yeah, it seems like the CERN is just a solid matchup into the Medusa. I see a lot of ADCs, pro ADCs, picking them into that matchup. So I feel like anyone right now that seeks Medusa could just say, hey, maybe I'll just grab CERN and try to match some of that early damage.
The Eldritch Hounds need a bounce back here in game number 2 if they want to keep their chances of a victory in week 1 up for grabs here. Athenian Sages up 1-0 as we hop into game number 2. Can the Sages close it out here up against the Eldritch Hounds? Can the Eldritch Hounds finally find their first kill of the set? And Charlie, you were right. It is going to be Jengaru on the Amaterasu jungle out here. And luckily we've got Doug standing by so he can bring us the lovely spectating so we can witness all of this together.
And it does look like Briz is going to go for that same style of build. You got 3 physicals on the other team, just getting that Legion helm online very early, and Erupt Crimson on the flip side. Going the same style of build. Going to go that Eye of the Jungle, try to go for that late game sort of tank stat item, but also double flat pen. So nothing too out of the ordinary here, except for Dude Man Bro. Instead of going Crusher on that Stern Nose, going to go for the Light Blade, possibly an Aussie start, maybe Axie. Could even be, I think I saw second item Kins the other day, so I'm not writing anything out of the possibilities yet.
Yeah, I think it was Zapman over on the Leviathans. I asked him about this in his post-game and said, man, we've been seeing some different builds kind of pop up for me on a couple of these hunters, one of them specifically being that Aussie Rush, and he seems to just like it. You know, you don't need to get the Crusher. You can get your extra lifesteal online a little bit earlier, the extra attack speed that you can get from things like the Wind Demon and Silver Branch where you don't have to worry about Crusher. So Zapman seemed to have liked it when trying it out here. Beads very early out of Shinigami, still gets hit out by them, stuck and fighting inside of the Bramble, but that's going to be first blood now over to the Eldritch Hound, their first kill of the set, and you got to put it on Dude Man Bro.
Yep, that's the benefit of this start where the ADC hits 2 before you go in. You got to make sure you're not pushing up too far. CERN does have the dash to close the gap, and then the cripple now on the 2, so it's going to be very difficult to try to dash away. Obviously, no dash leveled there, so you can't even do anything about it, but now you have a level lead, and it's going to be very difficult to push up to the wave now if you're Priv or Shinigami.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to step up to a level 2 dual lane when you're only sitting at that level 1 yourself here. Slash on this Wukong has had a lot of pressure put on him, just through Oath and Rivakami sticking around this lane for such a long time together. But that does give the pressure to the Hounds to be able to grab that totem and now finally get one of their first leads of the entire set. Even though it is only that first blood bounty at this point, that 600 gold is going to mean a lot to these guys, especially the fact they put it onto their main carry.
Yeah, right now the duo lane again is going to have to be very careful, but it looks like the aggression found Shinigami again. Maybe some body blocks can get him out of here, but it's going to be one auto. Oh, there it is. Quick finds the auto that time, and they're starving the wave. I mean, you can't step up.
They're still level 1.
Yeah, they can't step up to the wave. They're level 1.
Wow. So after 2 full waves of them walking up and just fighting back behind, the Sages dual lane has not been able to get an extra level on board. Priv even had to go back to base, so they're getting hardly any of this wave. A full wave has already gone to the tower, and a whole other one is jumping its way in. Hopefully for Shinigami, they can get a little bit of experience here to finally at least get some kind of XP to themselves. And finally will be level 2. But as soon as they're hitting level 2, their purple buff was that threat of invade by Dude Man, already level 3 on the Cernanos. Quig, also level 3 on this Bacchus. But now that Quig has left this lane, that does give the Sages a moment to try and go for purple. But as soon as I say that, Oath is right back in. The Hounds are not happy with what happened in game number 1, and they're bringing it all out in game number 2. Oath is the one who picks up the kill this time.
Yeah, red buff is going to be evaded away as well as purple buff. But on the flip side, Jengaru finds the speed buff, so there is going to be a little bit of farm taken away there as Slash tries to look at this blue, but it is going to go down the ways of Rivakami. Maybe a dive here. They might have enough damage for this.
Slash does have ult, but doesn't elect to use it up against Rivakami. So for now, this Odin will be safe. Did manage to get his blue buff, so that didn't get stolen away by Slash here. Jengaru is still waiting to try and hit level 5, same as Oath. As we look across the board here, as far as a beads roundup when you're going up against this team comp, now everybody on the side of the Sages has beads. Do not want to get pulled in by this Pow Lao out of Oath.
Yeah, 5 beads strong against Oath Daji pick here, making sure not to give any sort of picks away. You know, it's one thing if you're going to die to Daji damage, but you're going to die because you didn't have CC immunity up. That's always a little bit annoying. So just putting some respect on the Pow Lao right now. 1-0 on this Daji. Not level 5 just yet, but you don't have any sort of targets even at level 5 right now, again, because of those beads. So you're going to have to try to get some pressure, maybe pull some beads when you can, and maybe Oath will get a little bit active afterwards.
And maybe hope that Quig can find another belly flop combo to try and stop one of these carries or stop maybe even Privative here on this Khepri. Level 4s for both the dual lane of the Eldritch Hounds. Meanwhile, Athenian Sages still struggling to catch back up after the 3 kills that have gone the way in the dual lane. And that's where a lot of the benefit of the Athenian Sages came from game number 1. Privative was able to get very active very early across the map, but so far here in game 2, He has not had that same luxury. It has been nothing but Quig as far as these supports go.
Yeah, and as a Khepri that's level 3, you don't really want to rotate out of this lane just yet. Anytime you get caught in the jungle, you're pretty much dead. So Priv is going to try to get every bit of farm he can and try to hit 5. Once you get that Scarab's Blessing, your peel really starts to come online. But at the moment, this is a level 3 Khepri trying to get a purple buff, and it looks like Quig is going to walk over.
Quig is here, but Quig is going to be staring down 3. A belly flop in against those 3, but an abduct right back. Quig does have ultimate and does have that horrific emblem. That'll be popped there to slow down and ease away any of the chase opportunity here. The purple buff. Wait, purple buff got stolen actually.
I was wondering if Quig was going to go over
Maybe?
and see if he picked it up, but I do not think that anyone wants to pick up that buff right now, so no one's going to rotate over. Quig, however, is going to take the obelisk. Feeling pretty confident there. Oath is covering the back in case anyone wants to go, but Doom is going to dash in here because, again, level 3 and level 4 in this duo lane.
And level 6 on Dude Man, and that's a dead bug. Khepri goes down. Shinigami's got the bead, so no Pow Lao pull by Oath. But a massive cooldown to take away from this Medusa nonetheless. Eldritch Hounds, after getting blanked in game number 1, they have had enough sitting back. They've had enough of dealing with the Athenian Sages, and they are starting off this game hot, 4-0 already.
I mean, when you look at Thoth has double the levels of the duo lane right now of the Athenian Sages. Obviously, so does Briz. I mean, level 4 to level 8. It's starting to get a little bit out of control here. Finally, Shinigami ticks over to level 5, getting an ultimate available, but still, I mean, Priv is going to have to soak up even more farm trying to get that Scarab's Blessing. This duo lane is going to take a lot to try to dig out here.
And it's one of the things we talk about all the time with these SCC teams. Now that you have this lead, how are you going to push it? Where are you going to keep that pressure up to make sure that you hold on to it here? And if you're the Eldritch Hounds, Trelly, where is that lane that you do that? Do you keep stepping on the throats of the dual lane, or do you try and use that lead you've gained elsewhere to try and put pressure in another lane?
Yeah, I don't think right now you can even help. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you could find a kill onto Dude Man, bro. He was dashing aggressively. If you catch him out doing that again when he doesn't know you're there, that could be certainly an avenue for a kill. But I would say right now, Dude Man, bro, is able to just like sustain up. He has Aussie, he has Death Toll, and then he has his Spring Stance. So it's gonna be very difficult to find a kill on this Cernos. Right now he's solo invading the purple buff, and no one is even close. So no one wants to put pressure in this duo lane. I would say you want to look for some solo pressure. Maybe try to kill the Thoth. That's always gonna be a pretty easy pick if you can get that evade and punish down early.
For now, the Sages will just have to stand by and watch as their purple and their left side Harpy do go down to the Hounds. About 2,300 gold up for the Chaos side team so far. XP, most of it really showing its light here over in that dual lane. Level 7 on the Bacchus versus 5 Khepri. Dude Man Bro 2 levels up as well over Shinigami. And that's really just where the pressure has been this whole way. 100% kill participation from that dual lane to start things out here. Eldritch Hounds are really stepping up here in game number 2. But it's calmed down a little bit here. I mean, we were on fire for the first 4 or 5 minutes of this game, but the Hounds have slowed down their pacing.
Yeah, it seems like they're not trying to force anything just yet. They do have this lead. Again, the duo lane is pretty far behind. Maybe when they get some damage online, they're going to recognize how far back Shinigami has to play and see if they can get some gold steals here. They do have the final judgment on their side of the field, so there's not going to be too much steal potential, but they're going to go for a dive under tier 1 tower. They're not going to calm down at all.
Shinigami pops the ultimate. Pow Lao is here, but there's also a Scarab's Blessing. A nice little save there by Primitive to keep the carry alive and get 2, or what I should say, at least get 1 big ultimate off the side of the Hounds. Jungler no longer with that Pow Lao, but Oath is just fine with that. Taking another trade, gets 2 ults for 1. Hey, that's a win every day of the week.
Yeah, but Shinigami did not have to use the beads. They weren't even available. So if Priv wasn't there, that was definitely going to be a dead Medusa. So Oath making sure that, you know, at the very least getting those cooldowns down. If they do decide to force anything, and it looks like they will, this is what I was talking about. You don't have any pressure in the duo lane, so you can't even post up to the gold free to check on this. And unless Briz is just doing his red buff. No one's going to come over. This is an 8-minute, 9-minute gold fury.
That's going to be an easy one here for the Hounds after getting that pressure in the duo lane. Careful there, Quig. He'll back away just in time. Gold Fury now goes down to the side of the Eldritch Hounds. They push up that gold lead to now 3,000 up for themselves. Solo lane is the only place where they're really able to get any pressure on the side of the Athenian Sages, and I can't even call it necessarily pressure because it's just Slash holding a very slight lead over Rimikami. but we haven't seen any of the solo lane rotations just yet from either of these two teams. Instead, it's been all about the duo lane for both of them.
Yep, in that soul lane, we just saw anytime you try to poke out Slash, he just full heals off the wave. This is the benefit of that soul eater build. As Dude Man Bro, I actually just got louder because I was excited. I was like, wait, they're aggressing? They're going to look for a kill here? But it looks like they are not going to be looking for a kill here. Dude Man Bro does just dash away. You can really start to see this XP lead decline when you look at Briz at a level 12, and then you look at Priv at level 6. I mean, it's really starting to show just how much this duo lane has been getting starved to farm, where the mid lane has been just farming it incredibly well.
Dude Man, though, under fire by 2, pops the ultimate, and it's a dazzling offensive from Jengaru. Priv was taking up that Phoenix, but now it's a rotation in from Quig, just to make sure that Dude Man doesn't go down in this fight. It's a 2v1 on the right side now. The solo lane has finally seen some action. The Somersault Cloud has been used by Slash, and healing up top, slams down. Right on top of Oath, gets a nice Tiger Stun, and finally, the Athenian Sages put themselves on the board with a nice kill out of their solo.
Yeah, it seemed like Oath wanted to go out into the powwow there, but just didn't expect the Tiger Stun that quickly. I mean, Slash still had the beads available, so I don't think he was in any danger there, but Shinigami dashes in right as Quig walks around the corner. I don't think Dude Man Bro's in any danger here.
Shinigami uses the Petrify, but now with the beads burned to get away from the Belch, that might just be enough for Shinigami to make it out here. No further chase down by the Eldritch Hounds inside that jungle, and even if they did, Privative was right around the corner. But now the Sages are finally getting active on this map. They're finally getting something out of their pressure they established in solo. But one little sniff out there by Erupt Crimson is going to keep them away. Pyromancer does not go down this time.
It is going to be pretty difficult to try to live against Slash right now if he does rotate over the carries. Obviously, right now, Erupt Crimson does have the double flat pen belt, so he's going to be chunking. But with how much Slash is able to heal, go up into the Somersault Cloud, just stall, if he does rotate over, I think the team fight is not completely dead. Again, if you're trying to focus on the duo lane, that's going to be a rough time. 4-level lead for Dude Man Bro. Shinigami really just trying to steal away a purple buff if he can, but 3 people are over here. Erupt Crimson was even lurking, so 4 have rotated this purple buff as Priv is going to get rotated on.
Privative has to use the beads to get away. That third chain out of Oath was just a little bit shy of grabbing that one there. Ultimate's expended out of the junglers. Oath gets stunned out. But Jengaru doesn't have the follow-up. And then the ultimate from Dude Man Bro makes sure to keep that zoning out there. So, again, a lot of fire thrown here over towards this dual lane by that purple buff. Nobody goes down just yet. But, man, you can really see the difference in DPS just coming out of that dual lane. 3 to 4 levels separating both of those players.
Yeah, Shinigami still just trying to get his archers, the Harpies, the purple buffs, the left side mids. Everything right now has just been going the way of the Eldritch Hounds in duo specifically. So this Medusa still has not ticked over to double digits. Obviously, Kepri level 7 as well. So the duo lane for the Athenian Sages are going to have a tall hill to climb before they can really start getting some farm here. The Eldritch Hounds, recognizing that the Gold Fury's down, going to go for the Pyromancer here. Unless Slash can get here in time, it's going to go their way. He might have a chance.
Slash is on the way, but nice body blocking out of Remikami will make sure that Slash can't get there in time. So the Pyromancer goes the way of the Eldritch Hounds. They keep that gold pressure up. 4,500 now they have in the lead. But Slash goes into backline, finds Oath, gets the powwow out of the jungler. But Oath is looking for a path out. Slash will not be able to find that cudgel after the immediate blink by Oath on landing through. Remikami is back, finds the stun up against Slash. But for now, Oath making it out is the most important thing here for the Hounds.
Yep, Oath making sure to not go anywhere he could be a touch so he wouldn't be put in combat, obviously, once able to blink there. Make sure that he wasn't in any more danger, the powwow. Great tool to just, you know, sit down and think for a second, like, where can I escape here? So that's going to be the option, as the Oni Fury is about to spawn in here at about 14 minutes, give or take. And that's going to be our next form of contention. The red buff stolen away once again by Quig. He's been wearing this a fair bit this game. And it looks like there's a chance Shinigami, oh no, I was like Shinigami might finally get a purple buff, but no, that's not going to go his way either.
Nope, no purple buff for Shinigami, at least not for now. Maybe later in the game when people have finally left his lane alone and let Shinigami get a little bit of farm, but at the pace that we've been going, that's not going to be any time soon. Eldritch Hounds did manage to get that Pyromancer earlier on. They kept that lead going, and Dude Man Bro level 14 on this Cernos compared to level 10 on Shinigami. The farm game has just been out of control by the Eldritch Hounds. The pressure of this dual lane, you can see it reflected in the builds, barely getting close to that third tier of the item for Shinigami. Meanwhile, Dude Man Bro is already a full item ahead.
I'm not gonna lie, I would kind of appreciate if Slash just like made the far rotation over to duo lane just to give Shinigami some pressure, you know? Try to find some relics on the Dude Man Bro, or maybe even a kill. But right now, it looks like some aggression onto Erupt. Crimson gonna have to beat pretty early on. Takes a big chunk of damage. Again, the Oni Fury is up, and the vision is all for the Eldritch Hounds, so they are going to be pulling this very soon if they want to, but it looks like Dude Man Bro is gonna back, so no, they're not gonna pull this Oni Fury. They're just gonna take those beads down. I lied. He stopped his back, so they are going to pull it.
You know what I just realized? Crimson has the exact same slash line as he had in game number 1. Hasn't died, hasn't gotten a kill or an assist just yet. He is holding on to that 0-0-0 very intently. Eldritch Hounds get the Oni Fury. Slash trying to steal it away, but just a little too short of doing so. That one is secured out there by the jungler Oath. And Eldritch Hounds continue to push up this lead, though it hasn't gotten very far in the last couple of minutes here. Still sitting around that 4,500, 5K mark. But if you're the Athenian Sages here, Charlie, where is that point that they can bring themselves back in? Who is that player that they work around to try and bring this lead back to them?
Oh, it's got to be Briz right now. I mean, he's the only one that's relatively even. Still 2 levels behind Erupt Crimson, but level 15 Tiamat is going to be doing a great bit of damage to anyone on the map right now, except really Ramakami, I would say. You really just want to try to get this Tiamat as Shinigami finally gets a purple buff. I am so happy for him. He finally got a purple buff. It looks like they might even get a red buff, so they're starting to get some of their own farm, which is going to help them out, obviously. But right now, I'd say you try to play off of Briz, get Slash to rotate over, and hope that you can find a pick and then just back off. You don't want to take this. Even a 5v4 right now is going to be very hard to win. You want to find an isolated pick and then get out.
Privative spotted out by Dude Man Bro. Bramble Blast thrown out there. Priv is tanking up some of this damage pretty nicely, but Quig was just here. Steal a couple of Obelisk Flowers away. I think he was able to get maybe one during all of that. But for now, Quig will be able to back away, get back to safety, and get back with the rest of the team, to say the least here. Athenian Sages down, but not out of this game just yet. Eldritch Hounds have not gotten a kill for almost the last 10 minutes of this game. The only kill that's happened so far has been the Sages.
Yep, they were able to find their one isolated pick, but not going to be enough to catapult them back into this one. They still have quite the hill to climb, but again, no sort of fire giants are down. All your tier 1s are still standing, barely in the duo lane, but it is still standing. So there is a lot of gold on the map to be had if the Eldritch Hounds get a little bit more aggressive and start poking down these towers, or if they want to try to pull. But it looks like they're going to look for a little bit of aggression here on Quick. He's just going to back out, belly flop over the wall, as Shinigami is going to see if he can rotate over. But if I'm him, I'm not leaving this lane at all. I want to be level 16 with 2 more items before I'm rotating to team fights.
Quig goes in aggressively, stopped by Slash. Good slow, a pluck back in with that abduct. Quig will belly flop in, place to try and set up for Oath. Intoxicate already used, and the cage drops down. Primitive has nowhere to go. The ultimate going to be used on top of himself just so he can live through the midst of the fight, but maybe that's all that you need at this point. Dazzling offensive through, but no, final judgment out of Erupt. Crimson will find him in the backline. Slash dives through, but Oath finds Jankaru under the tower. Slash manages to find at least one to the fight, and potentially can grab Oath here by grabbing him with that cudgel. Nice hit there out of Slash.
And there's a huge petrify by Shinigami. He did end up rotating over this fight, getting the beads down from Dude Man Bro, and the Aegis had to use both of them. It is just going to be a 2 for 2 here, despite the huge deficit that the Athenian Sages are playing at here.
Briz fires off some damage, but Ramakami jumps back over the wall, and the Hounds will regroup around the Pyro. Meanwhile, Crimson will regroup up by himself, throwing out some big shots against Briz. Ramakami here has that shield popped up. Stun, though, is good onto the Odin, but Crimson's damage from range is even better. Another kill now up for the Hounds, and Ramakami will drop the cage to offer a way out for themselves. And it will not be a Pyromancer, it'll just be the one kill going the way of the Sages, the one kill here going to the Hounds.
Right now, Slash is the single shimmering ray of hope. 3-0 right now on the solo for the Athenian Sages. Again, it only was a 2 for 2. Slash almost died and then was able to pick up the kill by Oath and then get out. And then they thought they could post up to the Pyromancer, but right now you still have a level 14 ADC. You are not able to shred these tanks effectively. It's going to be very difficult to try to kill Ramakami. It's going to be very difficult to try to kill down quickly. So you still, like I said, if I'm this Medusa, I'm staying in lane. I'm saying, hey guys, I really can't afford to make these rotations right now. Let me get a few more items. But some big power spikes. Executioner and kin size finish now for Medusa. Despite being so far down in levels, you've got some decent tank shred.
And at least a little bit of flat pen finished up by Briz and working towards that percent pen now. Obsidian Shard on the docket for this Tiamat. Not quite there just yet, so not going to get the full benefit of the item. Jengaru does have a Toxic Blade, a Shifter Shield now by Slash picked up. So items are starting to come online. The only problem is they're still sitting behind right now compared to the Eldritch Hounds. The Sages still have a long way to go. You even look at the XP, 8,500, and with basically nobody at level 20 at this point. All of that's still very true experience going up against this team. Only Crimson so far on the map has been able to hit that level 20 mark.
Yeah, and Shinigami has to stay between his tier 2 and tier 1 tower whenever there is not a wave pushed up, just in case. They don't have too much vision, but there's enough to know that there are some people over there by the left side of the Gold Fury, so he's just going to have to back up there. The Gold Fury has spawned in once again, and I highly doubt anyone's going to post up for this. Maybe Priv tries to throw a little... Nope, doesn't even try to throw any sort of abilities towards that Gold Fury. You do have the Odin over here. Anyone getting trapped in a cage right now would be deadly, so the Gold Fury is going to go down. And now a 5-man group is happening in the mid lane.
Priv does get smacked by that spear. For now, it is just going to be a farm game for the Hunter. Shinigami is so far down, like you were saying earlier. I mean, hard for this Medusa to really get anything going, especially when they are down. Doomman Bro going into crit as a 4th item here towards that Deathbringer. We'll see how much longer it takes Doomman Bro to actually get that one up and going here. Looking at the player damage, Slash is still topping the charts, and I think you're right to call out earlier that this is the one ray of hope that the Sages have in. He found a double kill during that last team fight, spread out a lot of damage throughout the board, and really put the most threat on Crimson of anybody else out there.
Yeah, right now our Crimson needs to be stopped. Obviously right now has double flat pen, Chronos Pendant for the spam, and Charon's coin for the percentage pen. So anytime this Thoth is going unchecked, your whole team, stuff like that. You see what happened to Priv's HP? That's going to be happening every couple seconds right now, unless you can get the Amaterasu, the Dazzling Offensive, and this, the Blink Wukongs onto this backline. But the Fire Giant finally is started up, and Shinigami is tier 2 pushing right now.
Well, that's maybe all that Shinigami can do to help the team at this point. Tier 1 is down, Tier 2 will go down. It's a nice influx of gold and experience to the rest of the team here, but the Fire Giant is going to go to the Eldritch Hounds here. A nice little trade out for those boys. They'll give up a couple of towers, whoop-de-doo. Fire Giant, the most important objective on the map, stands the Titan, at the very least here, will go the way of the Hounds.
Yep, I think Shinigami made the right call, though, just trying to get enough gold to maybe get like a silver branch on a huge power spike before these tier 2 towers start to be looked at. I mean, you're going to need a certain percentage pen if you want to try to survive and tank and just shred down these tanks right now. So rotating over for that Fire Giant, probably not the best play. Even right now, the lead's not so out of control where one Fire Giant is going to mean, they just break the base at this point. This is probably going to be the, let's get the tier 1 tower, the tier 2 tower Fire Giant, and then in 5 minutes, we'll do a re-push. But right now, I think just trying to get level 20 and match your opposition is your best option.
We haven't seen a whole lot out of Jengaru just yet. Looking at the player damage charts here, seeing second to bottom, only above his fellow support Privative here. Jengaru hasn't been able to really get anything out of this Amaterasu just yet, though Jengaru hasn't really had an opportunity to do so, as all the action's been happening around them for the majority of this game. And that Tier 1 and Tier 2 that Shinigami worked so hard to get off that left side of the map has now been effectively negated entirely here as the Eldritch Hounds take away the left side towers. It'll be a group up around the Phoenix by the Sages. None of them are going to want to step up to this Tier 2 tower. Slash tries to, but Slash just sees how much damage is coming out of the Hounds.
Yeah, it seems like all of these towers are going to slowly fall down, at least in the mid lane right now. They're posturing towards this Tier 2, and Quig is going to be looking for a flop on anyone that posts up here. Briz just going to send the Minotaur in for a little bit of poke and then back up. I wouldn't be surprised if they just back off here again and go for the Tier 1 and the Tier 2 and right. And if you're the Athenian Sages, I'm using this time to get as much little farm as I can before the Phoenix Sieges begin. And
if you're the Sages at this point, I mean, you're watching these towers go down. You know there's not a whole lot of defense that you have to it. The ultimate question now comes down that I'll pose to you, Charlie, here is if you're the Sages and you're falling this far behind now, you're 10K out, haven't really been a whole lot of success in the team fights, do you wait for the second Fire Giant to come around by the Hounds when they're pushing at the doors of the Phoenix, or if you're the Sages, do you try and fight them at this next Fire Giant?
I definitely think you have to go for the Fire Giant. If they push for a Phoenix, you can certainly just try to defend that right now. But you don't want to take any even fight, I would say. If you can get an early pick, take the 5v4. If you can get the Phoenix on your side, you know, go for that. If you can get the Fire Giant and poke them down a bit, you can go for that. But right now, a 5v5 anywhere besides something heavily in their favor, I think, would not go well for them right now. I mean, your Khepri Primitive is not very tanky. Just Gauntlet of Thebes and the Sovereignty online. Trying to go for a very cheap item, possibly the Spirit Robe, just trying to get a little bit of tank stats online. Living through these fights is very important for your support.
Well, Doomembro goes back, finishes up their starter item here, the Death's Embrace. So extra lifesteal to add to the already exorbitant amount of lifesteal that he has built into his kit and with the rest of his items so far. Almost full build on the Hunter, nearly full build out of Crimson as well. Just needs a starter item. But that Rod of Tahuti as a 5th item, a massive 10% pen power spike coming through, a lot of just extra damage, and we'll see if maybe we get the chance to actually see that Calamitous Rod of Tahuti come online. We've been hearing a lot about it, we've been seeing all the buffs that have come its way, but we haven't really seen it come into the daylight just yet.
Yeah, I'm still a nimble Rod of Tahuti fan. No matter what, unless you're on like a Chunga, something that can lock down for a very long time, I like the attack speed, especially at this point in the game when you're hitting some Phoenixes, you're hitting objectives, things like that. I think it's just nice.
For now, it'll be Primal Fury that I didn't even get a chance to even like finish what the objective's name was, and the Hounds have already taken it off the map here. Another objective goes to the Chaos side team. Fire Giant is wearing off here in just a couple of seconds, and that'll be up in just a minute after that. And the Athenian Sages have already started putting their wards up. They're starting to group around this objective, but they've been spread out through this jungle, and they might just try and go for a pick here. Only 3 of the Hounds in the immediate vicinity. Oath is on the way back over. Slash is the only one who walks into that lane. He's the only one who's going to be concerned here. Big damage, Final Judgment will clear out a lot of Slash's health bar, but not enough to take them down just yet. For now, the solo does live on.
They recognized that Doomembro was pushing left, but they also didn't feel too confident in the 5v4. So they still said, you know what, I think Jengar was like, I'm about to take over to 20. You know, obviously we could just stay back, try to get as much farm as we can before this Fire Giant fight. We don't have to go for this risky play for a pick, but when you're this far behind, sometimes those picks you're way back into this game. It does look like they're posturing for a 5v5 grouping at this Fire Giant, so they're going to at least show some face here as it spawns in.
Crim's even sold their starter item. They don't care about finishing a starter item, because who needs that when you can get a Soul Reaver instead? Full 6 items now up online for the mid lane Bird. 2-0-1 on this Thoth so far. The only kills that Crimson has been able to be a part of so far this entire set, which is so weird to say considering how much control they've had here in game number 2, but it's only 3-7 on the kill count so far. Rimikami does go in aggressively, but only finds damage up on Slash. Slash is the one eating the brunt of this damage. The Hounds know that he's the threat, and they're going to try and put that threat down, but some good CC and some good defense out of the Sages to make sure their solo gets out.
And look at Doomembro tanking up the Fire Giant by himself right now with Death's Embrace. It's dead. It's completely dead. He's been doing it the whole time.
There's been no chance for the Sages to get back into this team fight. Quig and team now surging in to the back line of the fight. Petrify does hit. Only one on the backside, but it's not going to be anything big. Rep Crimson takes down Primitive. The ultimate gets popped through. And unfortunately for Shimigami, he gets thrown right back into the waiting arms of Doomembro, and that Hunter boxing match is not going to go his way. Slash in the middle of all. Big damage coming out, though, from the mid laner Briz, but Dudeman finally is able to put down Shinigami. Slash doesn't make it out. It's Rimikami time as they take down yet another one, and I don't think that Jengar is going to make it out. It's Rep Crimson is putting out too much damage, and with 4 down only, Briz left alive. The Eldritch Hounds can walk down this right side, take this Phoenix, and end game number 2, and take us now, Trelly, into game 3.
Just a massive leader up. Crimson is putting out so much damage right now. Even when it looks like a few of the Sages were able to get down, the Thoth chases him down with this incredible range. And it looks like the alternate timeline did save Briz there, so he doesn't end up dying. But either way, completely different gameplay out of the Eldritch Hounds game number 2. A lot more CC, a lot more getting active early. I mean, not a high kill game, but a high pressure game nonetheless.
I almost felt like we were watching an EU game comparatively, because what we've been seeing mostly out of a lot of this meta has been very high aggressive early, very high kill count games, but this one was 4 kills in like 5 minutes on the side of the Hounds, and then basically nothing until that last little skirmish there. Set us tied up now 1-1. We'll see who can take game 3 right after this break. A complete turnaround here in game number 2 brings us to now game number 3 between the Athenian Sages and the Eldritch Hounds. Hounds able to finally find some kills here in game 2, and those early kills were enough to spark themselves a nice little lead that the Sages just could not recover from. More than anything, Charlie, I think a lot of it does come down to this dual lane. Now, I'm not even going to say like a dual lane diff. This was literally just dual lane just died level 1, and it was pretty much over in that lane from that point on.
Yeah, Dude Man Bro was able to just stand in front of the minions and say, hey, you guys can't even get close enough to tick over to level 2 because I'm here. And then Shimigami and Priv just kept saying, like, wait, can we get a little close? And then nope, they died again. And then he just kept trying, and they were not able to find any sort of farm. So that duo lane was down to quite the deficit early, and that definitely helped snowball the game a little bit out of control there. But a completely different Eldritch Hounds we saw in game 2 compared to that first game.
Some extra lockdown that we were calling for this time around via the way this Bacchus and this Odin and even Oath on the side here with this Dodgy. Maybe not finding the most pal outs throughout the game, but didn't even necessarily need them out here. Just making sure to use it to burn beads away and set up for the rest of the team out here. Quig coming up big on this Bacchus, this dual lane. So potent out here, and Erupt Crimson, again, on this thought, this big long-range damage, is able to find some pretty big hits throughout it. Not quite topping the damage charts here. I believe that one went to Slash at the end of the day during this game, but, well, I mean, who's touching Crimson in this fight? Slash. That was the first time that Slash, or anybody, ever got to Crimson during this game.
Yeah, like I was saying about the Thoth, you really need to get someone on top and just poke out as much damage as you can. This Thoth cannot be allowed to free cast in this fight. It's just not going to work out for you. Obviously, Slash, sort of the shimmering ray of hope, the only one that was able to try to keep them alive there. But Erupt Crimson was doing the damage. Remikami was being annoying. And just Quig on the Bacchus, just a completely different style of gameplay. And how that knocks, which, largely ineffective, obviously. Not too much lockdown with the knock. It just didn't seem like he was able to get the full blunt of his CC off. Completely different game this time.
Yeah, Quig not able to be that control monster that he usually likes to going for. That's why the E-set was always such a big pick for him at the latter half of Season 8 there. I mean, this is a pick that works so well from over in that support role. It does not the same exact things that Nox does, but similar levels of things from a safer range, and maybe I'm not even going to say arguably, a lot easier to hit. Big circle, silence that you don't have to wait for them to stand in. Spirit Ball, long-range stun. Sure, it's not a root and a cripple, but it effectively acts kind of same here. So I'm actually maybe a little surprised that the Eldritch Horror here or the Eldritch Hounds, not Eldritch Horror. I mean, they were kind of a terror during that last little game there, but this E-set seems to be maybe a pivotal pick for both these teams out here. I would be surprised if we saw it make it through here in Game 3.
Yeah, I would definitely say banning it away, or at least making sure you get it locked down early, is going to be the rite of passage here, because it looked so solid, Game 1 for Jengaru. So at that point, just banning it away. No one really wants to try to gamble with the E-set right now.
Yeah, Game 3, though. Picks and bans ready to go between the Sages and the Hounds. They need a lot to help both of these teams out here in game number 3. Sages maybe want to try and dig back into what was working for them in game number 1. Hounds trying to bring back some more of what worked so well for them in game number 2, which was arguably just drafting gods that would work better in a team composition as opposed to a much more single target for every single one of those players out here. First bans, though, are going to be Cabrakan, at the very least for the Sages, making sure to take that flexible Guardian off the table.
Yeah, if I'm the Sages, I think I'm not even too upset about that game, honestly. It was They were able to find some avenues back into the fights. It wasn't a complete wash, and that early game in the duo lane specifically just sort of set them up for failure. I think right now, if you get that Medusa and you still put the same amount of stock into that Medusa pick and then find a Guardian that is a little bit safer than Khepri, obviously has a more confirmable escape as well as some lockdown and some easier. Having your escape and your one peel tool are a little bit annoying when you're that far behind. So a little bit safer support pick, and I think, you'll be a lot better off at the start of that game at the very least for the Sages.
And I mean, the dual lane for the Sages got picked up very early in the draft. I mean, it was the Medusa and then third pick of Khepri after that, and the Hounds waited all the way until their 4th and 5th before they even drafted their duo when it ended up being Bacchus and Cernanos. So despite waiting so long into the draft to get theirs, they were the ones who were able to come out and get that pressure in game 2, that being the Hounds at the very least here. When those bans come through, E-set Circuit, no changes there out of the Eldritch Hounds so far. Athenian Sages will go with the same 3 bans that they did here in game number 2, as in now game 3, with a Cabrakan, Ardio, and Erlong Shen. But this time it's going to be one more little adjustment out of the Hounds. They're having trouble with that E-set, and now they're having trouble with that Odin, so they're going to take that one away right out.
Yeah, I think that right now the Sages aren't too upset with the duo lane they drafted, just how they played that early game. Just don't post up when you don't have that level 2. And so I don't think that I think their bans are still smart. But this time, not putting so much prioritization in that Medusa. They're going to be opting to first pick that Bastet for a little bit of a flex pick. Could be jungle, could be solo, that sort of thing. I think it's a completely different start.
Able to get a little bit of early CC, one of the higher damaging assassins for these early games too. But the Hounds will respond with a Medusa of their own. So finally going to take Shinigami off the comfort pick that he's had for the last couple of games. And go ahead and feed Oath another hot hand pick once again. Dodgy locked in on the side of the Hounds. And now going back over here to the Sages, they've got this Bastet, so they've got some of that flex potential. Huzzah! I was about to ask, do you hold on to maybe another jungle/solo pick and see if they want to hedge their bets on where this Bastet goes, but they'll stop me right there. Achilles is going to be the next one locked in for the Sages. Do you imagine that this Achilles is going to go jungle or solo?
It could go either at this point. I think both of I honestly like the Bastet more in the jungle nowadays. I really think that she excels in the solo lane because it's hard to gank her, but right now with how much mobility you need and how I think you're gonna have to be rotating more consistently to this duo lane to make sure your duo lane gets online. I personally think Bastet is a little bit better in the jungle for this comp specifically, but you are going to have to deal with the Daji. You're going to have to deal with the Palau jumping forward and back. So you're going to have to just play around that if you are going to. Either way, right now, holding on to that sort of mystery is going to keep the Eldritch Hounds, or the Hounds on their toes. So that's going to be a strong little start for them. But the Agni, who we have not seen all draft, is going to be a really solid start because just a same amount of range, right? Like a very big burst, space control, that sort of thing, but a little bit safer than the Thoth.
Yeah, and in fact, it's going to be Thoth and Tiamat now banned away. So completely new mid laners here in game number 3. And a completely new look at a new Hunter. I can't even say that Jingwei's a new Hunter. It's just new coming back into this meta. She has not been seen for a hot, I want to say almost a hot year, it feels like we have since we have actually seen this god really come up into the forefront here. But all the buffs that have gone this way, I mean, cooldown reductions on 2 of her primary clearing abilities, more damage now on that explosive bolts. And you want to talk about maybe getting a safe Hunter pick. Got to be one of the safest ones here, Trelly.
Yeah, especially into this Bacchus. Now that we're seeing Bacchus more and more, I mean, I would expect to see Jingwei at least fly a little bit back. I mean, you have the crit that's in the meta. She's very safe. If you're behind, you can just back and fly back to lane. You don't miss much. So I think this is pretty much just a Shimigami saying, hey, I didn't get to play the game last time because I was behind. Now, if I get a little, if I make a little oopsie in the early game, I can still fly in the lane consistently. I'm gonna be very safe on this pick, and then still have that late game hard carry potential with my crits.
It's adding that Jingwei with a Yamoja, so the dual lane rounded out here. And now the really only question mark is going to be, is the Bastet solo or is it going to be jungle? Same with the Achilles here. On the other side, though, for the Hounds, they lock in Osiris and Giannis as their final 2 picks here. So brand new look into the mid lane will be this Giannis going over instead, over on the side of Erupt Crimson. And then Osiris finally making his way through one of these traps will slot themselves over into the solo lane. So how do you kind of feel about this Giannis now that we're kind of getting a first look at him compared to some of our more usual mages, Trelly?
I have always been a big fan of the Janus. I think that as long as you're playing the pick very well, running to farm, portaling to farm, getting ahead, not dying. You don't want to die early ever on Janus. You're just far too safe. There's really no excuse if you die on Janus. You just want to always be portaling and stuff like that. So as long as you are on this Janus pick and playing it to its strengths, I have always been a fan.
Athenian Sages, Eldritch Hounds, game number 3. In set number 3, our first one here in North America, has already taken us the full distance out. And we will wait no longer. It will be Jengaro on the Bastet jungle / taking the Achilles to the solo lane. And we've been seeing, wait, hold on a sec now. I'm looking over at Remikami, and that's not what we usually see out of a starter item. Typically, it's been this death toll for these auto attack warriors. We're seeing Warrior's Axe this time.
Yeah, the only person that's building Warrior's Axe right now for my memory is Yarkor, and he's the best player, arguably one of the best players in the world. So if he's building it, it's got to have some form of use. It did kind of get a little bit of a nerf, and then people stopped building it, but Yarkor has still found some stock in this item. So I think right now, if Yark's doing it, then there's got to be some form of value there. It still is going to make you very tanky. You have a little bit of a sustain. Not as good as that Death's Toll if you're going to be auto-attacking, but late game, you have some pretty solid upgrades as well.
We'll see where Remikami goes with this Cudgel start as well. So Warrior's Axe into Cudgel 1. Tier 1 of it at the very least here. Blackthorn Hammer has seen some change-ups as far as it is concerned here. Privative Dove, double stun, double bubble. We'll make sure that Priv has some extra distance to get out of the engagement by Dude Man and Quig. But once again, dual lane pressure going over to the Hounds as they really can keep that pressure up.
Is it the soul skin that says double bubble when she's got the bubblegum skin?
Is it? I didn't even know that was a voice line.
I think she says either bubble trouble or double bubble. Either way, you said double bubble.
The double bubble trouble puddle.
Yeah, I thought about the soul skin. It looks like Priv is going to get a belly flop here, but pretty safe. Shimigami taking a lot of damage. But returns a good bit of poke as well. This is a much more action-packed lane than we saw last time because they did not get killed at level 1. So now Priv and Shimigami can sort of answer back to this aggression.
It's more action because they're just alive to try and fight back more than anything else. Here, okay, so I was questioning what Remikami was going to be going. That's all good and well here. What is Shimigami building this first item here? Is this going to be a Transcendence Rush on a Jingwei?
I've seen Shimigami go Dominance first item a few times now, mostly on the Uller. I'm not going to say that's what this is because, you know, you usually see so much crit. Slash takes a
Slash.
lot of damage.
Swiped away by Oath. 1,000 cuts strike first blood for the Eldritch Hounds on the side of the map opposite to where it was all in game number 2. Solo lane finally coming up here as Oath strikes up for the Hounds and starts up their early lead.
Yep, just an excellent gank over there. Achilles not having too many dashes to get away there once Daji's able to find the first one, so not being able to stun out that damage. Slash is going to file pretty early on, which I think is the right place to target right now because last game Slash was the key factor in keeping the Athenian Sages, you know, afloat. So shutting down Slash early is going to go a long way here, making sure that Remakami has a solid lead, as there is going to be some fighting over here over the Oracles.
Gar and Briz were diving up by that red buff. Seems like they were able to steal that one out away from Crimson and Oath. They'll go towards their own red buff. Quig, though, will steal that away all by himself. So that'll be a successful steal back on the side of the Hounds after losing their own red buff. Shinigami on this Jingwei will be the one that I keep my eye on the most over anything else, not just because of the pressure that's been in dual lane, but more than anything, I want to see where in the world this build goes.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's 100% going to domination. I've seen him in jungle practice on his stream trying to just see new ways to get DPS on these carries. And domination early, he's a big supporter of it. So we'll see if that is the option that he opts to go for here. I will say, very surprised to see Briz go for this helmet start on Agni. I mean, we've seen it on the Zeuses, we've seen it on the Tiamats, but Agni has been such a great applicant of the tried and true double flat pen build. So looks like Briz just says, like, I want to live as much as possible. I'm going to be getting dove by this Daji. I'm just going to go for this helmet start.
Will be tier 2 helmet now up for Briz. Jengar tier 2 of the Mace, and a tower shield up for Slash over on the side for this Achilles. But Oath with that first blood bounty is able to go back to base, pick up full Jotun's Wrath. And so now as that level 5 comes through, 20% extra CDR for those Pal Laos is going to mean that Oath can make their mark known across the map. Only beads down for the time being is Slash's. Could be the perfect opportunity if Oath decides to go that way, but instead Oath is making their way over towards this dual lane. Oracle Harpies and the mids have now converted over into being those offering camps, so I gotta imagine that now Oath will be a little bit more focused on trying to get some of this farm out.
Yeah, just still posturing towards this purple buff spawn that's going to be coming out here. Not a lot of mana on Shinigami, so even if the beads comes out, as the River's Rebuke comes down, it looks like there's going to be a bit of a back off here. I don't think they're going to die this. They really just want this purple buff.
Riptide is there. Quig is low. Big damage, though, as Shinigami petrified from Dude Man Bro. Doesn't get enough. Now Oath has returned to the fight, but doesn't get the dots necessary to take down Shinigami. The Jingwei is out, the Bacchus is down, and the Athenian Sages have struck back early.
Not a lot of damage from this duo lane, but enough to confirm the kill onto Quig. Obviously, the beautiful bait of the flop into the River's Rebuke setting up. And at least Shinigami gets the last hit too, so that's going to be super important. Trying to get this Jingwei online early. Not a strong early pick, this Jingwei, but really can come online hard with just a little bit of farm. And that kills all it's going to need, really. I mean, now Shinigami can just coast back in this lane, try to stay even, and then late game just pop off.
I was wondering where Remakami was going to go with that cudgel, whether it be a Frostbound, a Blackthorn, a Runeforged Hammer, a couple of different options that he could have gone. But it will be Blackthorn Hammer plus that Warrior's Axe. And this is definitely right up the avenue that Yarkor was running, especially on the Camazot solo that he was running all during last week in the SPL kickoff tournament. Which is just so strange, though, because we've been still seeing this, you know, even though the auto attack warriors are a little bit weaker right now, it just feels like the death's toll is the usual start here. So I'm gonna say I'm just a little weirded out of seeing Warriors Axe again.
Yeah, it is a little bit different here as Dude Bambro tries to get very aggressive in this duo lane, but it does add a little bit of extra damage to your poke abilities. Obviously, Osiris has some pretty long range pokes, so just getting the Warriors Axe proc on all those, the sickles and the tethers, those sort of things, that's going to help out a little bit in the long run as well. So just trying to really stay alive in this lane while also realizing that you're not facing an auto attack warrior, so you don't really have to trade autos too much. Achilles isn't going to want to box an Osiris, so just trying to sit alive in that soul lane.
Well, it looks like your call was right here, at least for Shinigami. Dominance picked up, first item on the Jingwei, so already a massive percent pen boost over towards the way of this Hunter. A lot of power and mana tied to it as well. Look at that, 15% additional physical pen on your basic attack, so essentially, well, 25% pen when you slam those basics in, 10% otherwise. Seriously, Shinigami off to a nice start so far Let's see where the rest of this build progresses, though.
It looks like Quig is going to go for this red buff invade again. He might try to ult this one away, just going to go for the burp, but now, through base and time, is going to try to get him out, but the Hunter's a bast.
Nice cat, but those portals last a very long time. Crimson, with that through space and time, will make sure that his support can find his way out of there. So Quig doesn't steal the red this time around. Almost loses his life, if more for the fact that there is a Janus there to protect them through. So nice little play out of Crimson. Blue buff steal, this time by the Hounds. This one will go their way. No blue for Slash this time around.
Yeah, I'm loving that Quig is still not afraid to belly flop in despite dying once. I mean, on this Bacchus pick, I think if you're not W keying and looking for aggression and flopping in consistently, you're not really getting the full extent of the value out of a pick like this. So Quig, despite falling once, you know, flopping in, maybe going, oh, sorry guys, that was my bad, still looking for these invades, still flopping in consistently. That time had to get it through space and time just to get out, but still, the aggression and the fire in his eyes are still there.
Waiting to see where Crimson goes to the rest of this build. These Giannis players typically like to go a little bit more towards the heavy cooldown route so you can get more portals, more unstable vortexes throughout the duration of the fight. So far starting with at least 10%. By the way, this flat pin of the Spear of Desolation, I'll keep my eyes out to see if Chronos Pendant is picked up here. Quig under fire yet again. He'll make it out though. Nice little belly flop. Gives him plenty of distance to get away.
I really don't think this is what's going to happen, but I touched on it maybe game 1, I believe. I really would like to see Soul Gem. I just love Soul Gem on Janus specifically. I think you get a lot of value out of it. And again, since this double flat pen meta, it's sort of fallen out of favor, but I think Janus is one of those characters that still gets a great amount of value out of the item, but it looks like, again, just going to be the double flat pen, probably a Spear of the Magus or a Divine, whichever one Erupt Crimson opts to go for. That is going to make sure that you are doing a ton of damage.
Pro will eat some damage from this Jing Wei. Privative is standing by, so Shinigami not alone in this lane. Privative no stranger to getting some extra farm here. Ward drops down. Stun and Riptide off the mark, so Privative doesn't find anything on the CC, but Dude Man Bro goes back in aggressively because he's got some backup here. Petrify is good. The airstrike even better to get Shinigami out, though. Oath is able to make it to the back line. Palau now up in the sky, but the beads are still there, and Oath has got to back away because Jangaru has come back in. The cat is good. And through space and time out of Erupt Crimson won't find any value.
But Dude Man Bro still very weak, and Quig is looking to get aggressive. Obviously, Briz has made the rotation over now, and the chase ensues.
Briz doesn't find the stun before the belly flop comes up. Quig makes it out. And the Athenian Sages don't lose anything during that team fight. All 5 sets of beads are still up, and they get a kill through that one while only expending the ults necessary for the peel. Big win for the Sages in this fight.
Yeah, I think Oath thought maybe if he canceled his ult, he could get out, and or he thought, I'm going to hit this ult for sure, so I'm going to quick cancel after the shot. Both, unfortunately, were false, so Adaji is going to find her first death of the game. Now a 2-1 lead for the Athenian Sages, as Quig is going to get aggressive once again. Does have the Interceptor, so going to be doing a little bit of zap damage to Shinigami as the chase, but not going to go too far.
Shinigami will make it back to the safety of the Tier 2, and by nature of that Jing Wei, we'll be able to get right back to that Tier 2 in just a moment. Heading up into that bow tree now is Shinigami. Hunter's bow picked up. Tier 2. Silver Branch has become one of the more popular items as far as that tree is concerned. Atalanta has shown signs of life here. We'll see exactly where it is that Shinigami goes with that item. Jangaru finds Oath in the jungle. A lot of damage up onto the jungler. But Oath might just need to use that Palau just to escape at this point through. Finds the portal from Crimson. Privative doesn't find the CC on the tail end of the portal, though, so Oath will make it out.
Does have a fair bit of cooldown built already. Jotun's Wrath and Hydras, so going to have a lot there. Shinigami going to have to dash aggressively to try to get out here. They're going to be trading, but it looks like you are going to have to use the ult to escape, so Shinigami is going to run away, but Jangaru sniffs this out and is trying to find Dude Man Bro.
Jangaru needs some big damage. Cat is avoided, and so is the Sting right after. Petrify will make sure that Jangaru doesn't dive under that Tier 1 tower for the kill there, so Dude Man makes it out. Still holding on. Well, it has to use the ultimate, and the beads were down, but Sozo's be back up. Another 50 seconds as far as the relic is concerned, but Jangaru hasn't left yet, and Quig just belly flopped right in the middle of a wave. And I thought maybe the Sages were going to try and do something with that, but recognizing Jangaru doesn't have any mana to continue that fight. Let's go for the wave clear instead.
Yeah, the Quig right now just seems so tanky. I mean, obviously Bacchus is Chug. The more drunk he gets, the more tanky he gets. So he just continuously is able to flop in with no real regard for his own life. Again, he did have that one time where he died early, but besides that, he's still just been W keying around, trying to find poke in the jungle where he can. Not doing too much damage just yet, going mostly for aura items, but Jengaru gonna take a fair bit of poke. That's that Warrior's Axe proc.
That is some beefy damage up against Jangaro, just trying to get their own back camps at this point. And these supports have once again run into each other. Quig really wants to steal some of these flowers away, but Privative is not going to let that one happen here. Solo lane, a fight over the blue buff goes the way of Slash, so they'll secure their own buff in that regard. And a fight over the purple buff. Quig has been very aggressive on this box. It's been nothing shy of belly flopping in every opportunity given. Jangaro will leap in, find the cat afterwards, but no more beyond there. Athenian Sages are at the very least, they're able to maintain holding on to their buffs at this point.
Yeah, Erupt Crimson pretty much doing exactly what you would expect on Janus. Portaling to the farm. I think he's about a half level ahead of Briz right now if the farming has been as good as it seems right now. Not trying to get into too many fights, just, you know, portaling out when needs to, sending the through space in time if he ever sees a fight, and then just going to the wave every time he can. Ticks over level 14 right now, so highest XP on the map at the very least, and gold worth. So yeah, just trying to make sure he's farming as well as possible and getting online.
Curious what the damage numbers look like on this Yana, because typically when we see these hyper farm mages like this, their damage numbers are usually on the lower hand here. It feels like Briz hasn't even really been able to jump their way into this fight. Now you can see both these mages sitting at the bottom of the charts right now. Barely over 1,000 for Crimson, under 1,000 for Briz. These mages have not been able to get involved in any of these team fights just yet. I mean, the last time the mages tried to get to a team fight, it was over by the time they got there.
Yep, they don't want to commit too much right now. They both realize how much farm is going to be important. Priv sees the belly flop and might be going for a river here, but it looks like there's going to be a poke, and Quig did get caught out here. Shimigami putting out a bit of damage.
A lot of damage to this Bacchus, but another through space and time out of Crimson will make sure that Quig has an escape path out. Crim has been on point with these ults every time to make sure to bail out Quig for their over-aggression. But how many more times can Quig get away with something like this? Briz will dash away as Remikami jumps back into the mid lane here. Our first look at all 5 players, at least in some remote same area of the map here. Remikami is not concerned with going over to the left end just yet. Instead, Crimson will clear out those Oracle Harpies and keep that vision now up on the Gold Fury.
Yep, this Jingwei, 2 levels behind at the moment. Dude-Man Bro pretty much dashing in every wave at this point. You have the Crusher, you have the Aussie, you're fighting into a Dominance Atalantis Bow Jingwei. So unless some crazy crit RNG, it seems like Shimigami does not really want to trade autos right now. Still, sitting pretty in this lane, wanting to try to get his items online quickly as possible, but also not overextending, as the Eldritch Hounds do end up pulling the Pyromancer, and finally, we're seeing an objective pulled.
Objective does finally go down here. The Hounds are the ones who grab that one. They push up their gold. 3,000, a very quiet 3,000 gold lead they've been able to amass here. Even despite the fact they've gone down 2 kills to only 1, the macro play across the map, the number of buff invades that have gone their way, a number of team fights that haven't gotten a whole lot of them there. Bomb's really starting to show some damage now out of Briz on this Agni, but just the macro play across the board. Eldritch Hounds have been able to hold on to this lead and slowly but steadily keep building that up.
Yep, and it seems like that's going to be the name of the game here. Up Crimson still portaling to every back camp, every way that he needs to, and it looks like Remikami is going to be taking a lot of poke here, and the gank is going to be here.
Ultimate is up, will use it. Huntress of Bast off the mark, just a little bit too far to the left and a little too shy. Remikami makes their way out, but a Crimson also use their ultimate there, so that one is going to be down on the mid laner with only 10% CDR. It's going to be a while before that ult comes back up.
Yes, Slash does hold on to the execute, obviously was not able to close the gap on that one, so still has the Achilles ult available if they do want to try to get aggressive on Remikami next time he comes back to lane. But because of how important the farm game is right now, everyone seems to be just running to their buffs as quickly as possible, then backing. They're saying, hey, there's no wave right now. I can back right now. This is my only time. But Oath finally trying to get aggressive. Shinigami does dash away, but I think just an ult away is going to be all he needs.
He's got beads, got Aegis, and ult. Shinigami should and will be fine here. But Charlie, I'm just saying, somebody pull the dang trigger already. Somebody go in and get a fight going. Get these actives on cooldown. Every single active besides Slash's beads are currently up right now. and neither of these teams are willing to step up and try and break those relics. Nobody's really trying to step up and make a move until finally now the Sages will walk up and start at the Gold Fury. That's only because there's only 2 Hounds on this side of the map. Rivers Rebuke comes up, it's quick, and Remikami here to try and slow this one down. Gold Fury gets pushed away, and up down in place by Remikami is good. Up against Briz, who is taking a lot of damage. Oath goes up on the Pal now. They'll find 2 with the chain, but get 2 beads in response. And Remikami can't find the damage, and all 5 of the Athenian Sages will be able to make it out.
Yeah, just way too much healing come out of Priv right now, making sure to keep everyone alive. Remikami has been doing a lot of poke damage as Slash pokes up, and he is in way trouble, but it looks like Slash doesn't have anything to follow this one up. They are!
What? Crimson with the through space and time takes down the mid laner of the Sages. Not only that, a Gold Fury goes the way of the Hounds, and the Sages, they were out of that fight. They had started it up, they'd had everything going for them, well, until, you know, the Hounds finally grouped up for themselves, and maybe the Sages can strike back here. Remikami, though, does have a portal, and Crimson, time after time, it was using that ult as a defense for his team. The first time he uses it offensively, he gets a kill, and now Dudeman Bro, finally they're getting some fights going.
Oh, there's some fights going for sure. Or up Crimson, using the ult just to DPS gold, and then maybe just send it downwind. Is able to clip Briz. Beautiful snipe, obviously. And then Dudeman Bro finds the solo kill in duo lane. Not only do you get the Gold Fury, not only do you find the 2 picks, now you have a massive lead. 3 levels on your ADC. You have 2 levels on your mid. And the farm game has still continued. About 7,000 gold in the lead of the Eldritch Hounds.
7K up. I mean, now that the Chronos Pendant is online by Crimson, expect those through space and times maybe a little bit more offensively compared to what we saw in the first 18 minutes of the game here. Eldritch Hounds, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how these guys got 6,000 gold with only, up until this point, 1 kill, and then they get 2 in a Gold Fury and to spike this one up. This map play by the Hounds has been impressive, to say the least, in Game 3.
Yeah, I think it really stems from the fact that, number 1, Janus can free farm super effectively. There's no way that Jangaru can ever keep up with that, and Briz is not going to be chasing a Janus around anytime soon, so he's just going to be running to his farm all the time. And then on the flip side, looks like Oath is going to be looking at Privs here. Does not have the beads available. The pull back in is good.
Rivers Rebuke won't really do much here. Crimson does get the kill, thanks to the help of that through space and time yet again to take down the support on the side of the Athenian Sages. Hounds, with all 5 grouped up and still a couple of ultimates to their name, now make it a third as Dudeman had just ticked off of cooldown. They can start up this Fire Giant if they wish, or maybe they try and bait some of the Sages forward. Hounds have complete control of this map right now.
Yeah, Shimigami can fly into the Fire Giant. It looks like that is going to be the choice here. The Fire Giant is pulled, but Jangaru and Slash are still up at the Fire Giant.
Wig is up front, throws that Intoxicate out, only hits in Jangaru. Slash now being burned away by Oath, and Dudeman Bro will dash in with the Lacerate. Oath goes in with the Trickster Spear. Jangaru jukes away from one ability, but not the basic right after. Crimson shuts that one down, and the Hounds, who were at 1 kill just a couple of minutes ago, have added 5 to their board.
Their tanks are not tanky enough to pull this Fire Giant, but Remikami is walking up to Shimigami. Look at the HP. That's like 2 autos, but it seems like right now, with Shimigami's build, he does not want to try to kill this Osiris right now. So they are going to go for the Pyromancer, not the FG, despite the 5v3. Again, those HP bars still a little low.
Still not free either. Briz is sticking around with at least a couple of meteors to their name. But now that Briz has walked back into mid, the Eldritch Hounds have pulled the Pyromancer. Privative wants to try and steal this one away, but instead, it might just be a pick onto Privative. Oath dives in, and that will be more than enough through space and time. Not necessary to get that kill, but you throw it out there anyways. A Pyromancer and a pick to the Eldritch Hounds.
This is a massive gold lead that they have accumulated here, and still not going to be pulling this Fire Giant. Again, this fight has just, it's been went on for so long. Now they're probably pretty confident in pulling that FG. They had to back and heal first, so now I don't think Shimigami is going to rotate over. I think he's going to continue pushing that lane, try to get the tier 1, maybe the tier 2. But 5 strong, the Eldritch Hounds, they go to the Fire Giant, and they do not have much of a steal opportunity unless Slash comes into play.
Dudeman Bro is here, just waiting for one of those tanks to start this one up. It'll be quick to hold on to the Fire Giant as these crits already start popping through. Double crit, I mean, it's a Wind Demon and a Deathbringer already online for Dudeman Bro. And nobody on the Sages are going to be able to step up here. Remikami is holding Slash back. Briz doesn't want to step to the forefront here to get this one. Fire Giant, 21 minutes into game number 3. That one will go to the waste of all 5 of the Hounds.
Yep, and now the siege does begin. Shinigami is going to try to get this left tier 2, but doing it very slowly. 4 members of the Hounds are going to be at this tier 2 tower, and I think they're recognizing that the Athenian Sages are not here. They can push down for this Phoenix, and they're posturing like they'll do it.
They can just do it here. Slash is the only one immediately ready to stop this one out now that Shinigami has been able to back and get back with the rest of the group here. And Oath rotating to this left side. That tier 2 tower does end up going down, so it's a trade out of the towers on the right side of the map for the Sages, traded out for the left side one of the Hounds here. So net even as far as that is concerned. But the Hounds, they can just keep going across the board. I mean, why stop at just the right lane? There's 2 towers in left they can grab. There's a tier 2 in mid that they can take here. Quig will eat some of the damage from Briz, but Briz has now expended all of their bombs. I shaded that. It's only been 2 of the bombs at this point in time. A tier 2 tower goes down. Hounds can continue their push on the left side.
I will say, because Shinigami did not rotate over to that Fire Giant and just got a bunch of waves and the tier 2 tower, he did tick over to level 20 before Dude Man, bro. Right now, you did not rotate over to help your team, so you got a bunch of gold. You better show up big in this siege right now, in this Jing Wei. You have your percentage pen, you've got some crit, you got some HP shred, and then you got more percentage pen, so a lot of shred for this Jing Wei. I would be surprised not to see maybe a Deathbringer or something come in late game, and then just the upgraded starter, and hopefully at this point, you've had enough sit backing and farming, and the Jing Wei's ready to get active in these team fights.
Yeah, Quig ended up going back and spending all of their gold on just the relics, a double tier 3 relic pickup on the side of the support here for the Eldritch Hounds. Meanwhile, it's a Gem of Focus picked up by Crimson in that mid lane, so going to get a little bit of extra damage out there. Death's Embrace for Dude Man Bro. So these builds are starting to round themselves out here for these backline DPS players here on the side of the Hounds. That gold 10K will only go up even more now that the Hounds have finally grouped themselves up to this left side of the map. Tier 1 tower will fall. Tier 2 should go the same.
It looks like they caught Jangaru out in the jungle while they were trying to catch out Oath. Priv is going to get pulled back in here, but Erupt Crimson is still grouped up. This is a 2v2 at the moment because Briz and Ramakami had to back up and try to stop this.
No shot!
Crimson with the snipe!
No shot. That Crimson finds that one all by himself. Briz is under fire in the backside, but that knockup throws both the tanks directly at him. Ramakami will put the mid laner in the coffin. And that left side Phoenix should go their way. Oath finds Primitive, and now with 3 dead on the side of the Sages, make that 4. The Hounds can go for the deicide. Shinigami will land inside the fountain, but that's only for a moment longer. The Eldritch Hounds, after a faulty game number 1, have come back to take this set 2-1.
I mean, just a completely different style of play from the first game. Game 2, they looked very dominant. Game 3, also very dominant. This Janice pick, I'm so happy we got to see basically a highlight reel of snipes from Erupt Crimson in this game. I do love seeing the Janice, and I love seeing it played well, and we just got to see it played very well.
3 big snipes this game for Erupt Crimson. 1 on that left side, 1 in the mid, and then 1 over on the Fire Giant. Just making his rounds across the map here is the mid laner for the Eldritch Hounds, able to bring themselves to a 2-1 victory in this set and take their first win here in week number 1 of the NASCC here up against the Athenian Sages. Strong play out of the Hounds so far. We'll take it to a break and we'll come back to close out the set. Well, it took them 3 games to get there, but at the end of the day, it is the Eldritch Hounds with a 2-1 victory here for the first set of the North American SMITE Challenger Circuit. They can punch their win here in week number 1 over the Athenian Sages. Eldritch Hounds never let off the gas once they jumped into games 2 and 3. Very similar look that we saw in game number 2 here in 3, though maybe just a little bit quicker to get there this time. The action started over into the solo lane and then slowly started snowballing its way through here, Charlie. I mean, dual lane was where we had a lot of concerns in game number 2. Dual lane was kind of ignored in game number 3 as far as the Eldritch Hounds were concerned because they were allowing Crimson to get all that farm, allowing their solo lane and Oath to get all the farm necessary to bring that win in.
Yeah, seeing Up Crimson play this Janus and pilot it so well was it was a sight that we love to behold. Obviously, the snipes came in very clutch there. It really seemed like, you know, Quig was able to just jump in on cooldown despite the one time where he died early. Besides that, the Bacchus was really never laying off the gas. And then, of course, Dudeman Bro, besides the early lead, I think Jingwei got an early kill. Besides that, Dudeman Bro was able to just rotate and make a huge difference in these team fights as well.
God, that first snipe right there, 17 minutes in, and then 2 more that he finds later on into the game. Dudeman Bro had a pretty big advantage to start this game out earlier on. Finds that Petrify there up against Shinigami, and that was kind of the last little moment that the dual lane had to come back in here. Actually, I don't even know. Oh, he didn't even kill with the snipe. I hyped it up there. I thought he got the snipe on that one. No, it was just a portal kill. That's lame.
Well, I mean, you know, portal kills, they're hard to hit sometimes.
No, that's lame.
Okay, my bad.
That was a lame portal kill, not a hype snipe kill.
Well, I never said it was hype. It's just, you know, it's hard to hit the portal sometimes, man. You know, you get a nice portal, you want to be rewarded for it. So here you go, Crimson, beautiful after the pull. Just finished 1,008 damage on that snipe. So just great play out of this Janus, making sure that, I mean, pretty much the whole team had a solid run there. Oath was finding the pulls where he needed to. Ramakami did find the early success after Oath ganked in the solo lane. Slash was pretty much the driving force for the team last game, making sure he could not, you know, stay in check, making sure this Achilles was not able to pop off. I think Ramakami did a great job as well. Yeah,
Slash really was the problem in game number 2 up here against the Hounds. I mean, he was really the only light on that team at that point. You know, we're getting level 15, 16. Slash still going undying, had 3 kills to his name. Game number 3, the Hounds said, we're done with that. We're not dealing with the solo laner. We're going to kill him early. We're going to kill him fast. And from that point on, the Eldritch Hounds never let off the gas. They're able to take game number 3, take the set 2-1, and be able to get the nice first victory here in week number 1 of the NASCC. But this isn't the only SCC that we have, Charlie, and it's certainly not going to be the last one either here. This is only set number 1 of our 3 sets specifically that's going to see out of NA. We'll take a look at the schedule here to see what other matchups that we have in store for you guys. For instance, today we got the Yomi Tanuki up against the Shibalba Storm, and then on Saturday morning, 11 a.m., we will round out the rest of the NASCC with the Kowloon Wardens and the Anansi. I always trick myself up saying it because I want to say Ansani for some reason, but it's the Anansi Weavers.
Yep.
Going to be rounding this one out at the very end of the week.
Yep. We got the very exciting matchup here between the Yomi Tanukis and the Shibalba Storm coming up next, obviously. Going to be an exciting one. Getting to see, you know, how these teams are treating their new names, their new logos, obviously, because we've been hyping them up so much. And I'm really excited to see, you know, Magic Feet. Everyone's been hyping him up. Twitterless Magic Feet in the jungle versus Sada Dragon as well has been having, you know, quite the success in that lane as well. So it's going to be quite the interesting matchup we have coming up next.
Is he still Twitterless at this point?
I think so. I mean, yeah.
How does he do it?
I talk to him all the time, but never on Twitter.
How does he do it? I don't understand how somebody this good in the SMITE, they've made it through all these qualifiers. Their name has been hyped up like crazy, and there's still no Twitter out there. Luckily for you guys, you don't have to worry about a Twitter. You get to see him in our next set that's going to be coming up right after this break.